Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah. See if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place. Creating the force and the power to live a better life. Just know that love and joy and peace is one in all of the same space. That you were chosen just like God. Your energy. That's right. Only you can make the change. Shine your head at you. Shine so bright from darkness from darkness to light. Yeah, and you'll find your way out. Yeah. Oh, it won't seem way out. Yeah. The power of God will flow through you from way out. You'll feel it from deep within, and from there you can begin.
Welcome. This is Alchemizing Energy. And, with a whole lot going on, a lot of like this things going on in the political realm, it's very interesting that I haven't seen a lot of people on YouTube really talking about the fact that people have been on other platforms discussing the fact that Donald Trump does not seem like he is all there. People are beginning to panic. They're starting to say, hey, looks like this guy is suffering from early onset dementia. And I didn't see anyone else really talking about this, and I find it really interesting that nobody else on YouTube is actually discussing this. And I want to play a few videos that, like, are kind of like really discussing this claim. Let's go with this one right here. In this particular video, he says something and then he retracts it like 5 days later. It's almost like he doesn't even remember that he made a statement. Um, and this is kind of scary when you're in a position of president, like, and just trying to figure out what's going on here. So let's go.
Video of that first boat strike on September 2nd, but not the second video. Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem.
You said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says...
You said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
You released video of that first boat strike on September 2nd, but not the second video. Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem.
You said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says...
You said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
This is ABC fake news. Okay, so we know we've had the whole narrative of fake news going on. A lot of times people use that fake news. Oh, that's like the CNN, or this is whatever news station it is. It's got to be a far right news station reporting it, etc. When you hear these things, but a lot of this is being reported. Like, people are like, okay, what's going on here? So there's also another story like this. People like they're just kind of catching him where he's just like looking like he does not have it all fully together. And I wanted to get you guys' what do you guys think about this? Let's go.
Yeah. Once you get to
and that was Donald Trump, the president of the United States. Trump was trying to mock transgender weightlifters, though Trump's point was garbled.
And he walks up, bing. He could have gone ding, 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 ding. I think it was 112 pounds, right?
White House staff are reportedly embarrassed by Donald Trump's lack of impulse control, his incoherence, and his growing signs of dementia. More on the staff panic in a moment. First, the Trump incidents are now coming in every appearance and interview. Donald Trump sat down with Fox News and forgot he had promised Sean Hannity an hour.
Great to see you, sir.
I didn't know it was a full hour. I thought it was going to be maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
I think I was pretty clear, but thank you for your time.
While discussing Venezuela, Hannity lobbed a softball and Trump whiffed.
Do you foresee a Venezuela that will have free and fair elections?
I do see that. I think that's happening. But before we do that, it's going to take a while to do. We have to rebuild the country. They couldn't have an election. They wouldn't even know how to have an election right now.
They wouldn't know how to have an election? Venezuela had parliamentary elections in 2025 and had a presidential election in 2024. The problem was that Maduro refused to accept vote totals showing that he lost. Instead, Maduro declared himself the winner. In the same Fox News interview, Donald Trump was asked about opposition leader Machado offering to give Trump her Nobel Peace Prize.
In 2023, she won over 92% of the vote to be the leader of the opposition. Maduro kept her off the ballot. Do you have any plans to meet with her? And would you accept the Nobel Prize she wants to hand to you?
Well, I understand she's coming in next week sometime. And I look forward to saying hello to her. And I've heard that she wants to do that. That would be a great honor. I did put out 8 wars, 8 and a quarter, because, you know, Thailand and Cambodia started going at it again. So
I'll put the list
I
up
give a
if you
quarter.
want.
So it's,
Yeah.
you put the list out, as a hell of a list. But I've stopped 8 wars. And I think, it's been a major embarrassment to Norway. Now, I don't know what Norway has to do with it, but that's where the committee is located, a lot of Norwegian people. And it's been a very big embarrassment to the country of Norway, whether they have anything to do with it or not. I think they do. They say they don't.
The question was not about whether Norway has anything to do with the Nobel Prize. The question was about Venezuelan opposition leader Machado. Hannity did not follow up. The awkwardness during the Fox News interview, though, may have been eclipsed by the panic behind the scenes among Donald Trump's White House staff. Several aides to Trump have told news organizations his lack of focus, forgetfulness, and inability to grasp basic facts and reality are getting worse. The staff note that Trump continues to fall asleep, even in public. After speaking about the U.S. removal of Maduro, Trump gave the White House podium over to Secretary of State Rubio, and Trump struggled to keep his eyes open.
He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those 3 recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward.
White House staff are reportedly now trying to limit how much time Donald Trump has to spend listening to others. The White House has also shortened Donald Trump's already abbreviated daily schedule. As Donald Trump's physical and mental decline get more obvious, there's a growing discussion in the halls of power about Vice President J.D. Vance. What kind of president would Vance be? Would he be better or worse for the United States? Well, this week, Vance startled legal observers while defending the ICE agent in Minnesota who shot and killed Renee Good.
The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity.
Absolute immunity? Under U.S. laws, there's no such thing.
Absolute immunity.
That is not correct. And the Vice President of the United States went to literally the most prestigious law school on the planet and knows that that's not accurate. Now, certainly law enforcement officers enjoy tremendous and very broad immunity for the actions that they carry out on the job. And they should, because they have to make very stressful on-the-spot decisions without the benefit of hindsight that we all have watching things on TikTok.
Now I want to ask the chat, what do you think? I mean, people voted in Donald. They know that they voted in also J.D. Vance as the vice president. How do you guys feel if he has to step down because of his mental health or whatever he's going through, that J.D. Vance would be the next runner-up? Do you think that he would make a good president? And were you guys, is anybody that voted Trump, are they down with this? They feel like, okay, did they make the right decision in this case? I wanted to ask people that. So if you get a chance, I would love for someone to come, people to come up. I'll put the link in the chat pretty soon. But let's go some more into what's going on, like what they're saying. Let's go.
That said, when someone steps far outside the bounds of either state or local law, or frankly, even their own guidelines as law enforcement officials, absolutely they can be held accountable both by the agency they work for or state, local, or federal authorities. So that's just simply not an accurate statement from the vice president.
But it gets worse than the vice president deliberately butchering the law. In falsely declaring that federal law enforcement officers have absolute immunity, Vance is embracing fascism. When federal troops can become shock troops with no accountability, the officers can do whatever they want, trample on the Constitution, and literally kill innocent people in cold blood without having to worry about legal consequences. This is the very power that fascist regimes have given to so-called federal shock troops. And Vance knows this. So while J.D. Vance may be more alert, articulate, and physically fit than Donald Trump, Vance's apparent willingness to dabble in extremism and authoritarian power may be reason to hope that Donald Trump hangs in there. At least with Trump, the instability and abbreviated schedules may limit the damage that Donald Trump can inflict. On the other hand, Trump also now seems to believe that his powers are nearly unlimited. Headline: Trump lays out a vision of power restrained only by his own morality.
What?
On topic after topic, President
Trump lays out a vision of power restrained only by his own morality. My own morality. What? On topic after topic, President Trump made clear that he would be the arbiter of any limits to his authority, not international law or treaties. Interesting.
Trump made clear that he would be the arbiter of any limits to his authorities, not international laws or treaties. President Trump declared on Wednesday evening that his power as commander-in-chief is constrained only by his own morality, brushing aside international law and other checks on his ability to use military might to strike, invade, or coerce nations around the world. Asked in a wide-ranging interview with the New York Times if there were any limits on his global powers, Mr. Trump said, "Yeah, there is one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop me. I don't need international law," he added. "I'm not looking to..."
Well, the young Turks are the only ones I see that's actually talking about the fact that Trump might have dementia, early onset dementia. So I don't really see that many people really talking about this as far as any news outlets. So, and they're using his own words. He said that I don't need international law. I think he just this morning withdrew from the UN. He withdrew United States from a bunch of different UN policies and things like that, which is a crazy move. Like, and all y'all FBAs talking about reparations. Well, guess what? Trump just removed himself from all UN things talking about reparations and say that those are racist things. So let's go.
Hurt people. This is the same person who has been accused by more than 20 women of sexual assault, was found by a court to be an adjudicated rapist, and was convicted by a jury of 34 felonies. And as president, Donald Trump has diminished foreign aid and cut Medicare, actions that have literally hurt and killed people. Clearly, Trump is oblivious. And dementia experts say that people who are afflicted are also often illogical and delusional. That's Donald Trump. And perhaps when Trump was asked about limits to his power, he meant not morality, but mortality. Sooner or later, Donald Trump is going to die. By many accounts, including from some of his own White House staff, Trump's brain is already decomposing. And Trump's decline across the political world is increasingly a source of added anxiety. By the way, a Fox News host parroting Donald Trump's talking points about Venezuela just got fact-checked to her face by a Democratic guest.
You have about 100,000 Americans dying of drug overdose, most of those drugs coming from Venezuela and other places, Colombia certainly as well.
That's actually not true. That's
not true that 100,000 Americans.
The majority of the deaths by drugs in America are the result of meth and fentanyl. Almost none of that comes from Venezuela.
So you're okay with massive amounts of cocaine traffic coming into the United States from Venezuela?
No, I'm not saying that either. What I'm saying is if we want a real drug strategy, if we want to stop fentanyl and meth, which is largely what's killing our children and devastating our communities, then we need a real drug strategy to do that.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Red Feral Cat, who wrote, "Thank you, Jason Crow, Colorado native here. Keep truth telling." Indeed. Hello, everybody. David.
So here's the thing. The bottom line is that there's a lot of stuff going on with the whole Trump situation. People are worried that he is suffering from dementia. And I'm going to play a few of the videos where they're saying, hey, this is not normal behavior. And this is like actual signs of dementia. Let's go into it.
These lamps have been very important, actually. Movies about the White House where wars are being discussed. Oftentimes they'll show those lamps or something like those lamps, something that looks like them, probably not the reals, because I don't think they were allowed to. This is a very important, and I don't think they make movies from here. You never know what they do. But they were missing medallions. See the medallions on top? They had a chain going into the ceiling. And I said, you can't do that. You have to have a medallion. They said, what's a medallion? I said, I'll show you. And then we got some beautiful medallions, and you see them. They were put up there. It makes the lamps look better. So we did these changes, and when you think of it, the cost was almost nothing. We also painted the room a nice color, beige color, and it's been really something. The only question is, will I gold leaf the corners? You could maybe tell me my cabinet could take a vote. You see the top line moldings, and the only question is, do you go with it? Because you can't paint it. If you paint it, it won't look good, because they've never found a paint that looks like gold. You see that in the Oval Office. They've tried for years and years. Somebody could become very wealthy, but they've never found a paint that looks like gold. So painting.
Okay, why is that even what are we doing? That is crazy. I'm sorry, but I mean, if y'all want to say that doesn't look crazy, what is he talking about? The paint on the lamps in the room? So I didn't just hear. So I have been following this one creator right here. I've been following him for some time now, and he's been talking about the fact that it looks like he is having signs of dementia. So let's go on to some people that are clinical with this. Let's go.
Video of my friend Hillary, who is a speech language pathologist, explaining why the slurping sound in Donald Trump's speech is indicative of a neurological disease that's affecting his swallowing. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients with dementia, just like the president.
Donald Trump is giving away the fact that he has some type of neurological condition just with one sound. And here it is.
Watch it do well.
Do you hear that slurping sound? That slurping sound is an indicator to me as a speech language pathologist that something is very, very wrong with this man's brain. So what's going on with that slurping is likely that he is losing his passive swallow reflex. A passive swallow reflex is when you just swallow because it's time to swallow, because you have to clear saliva, because you're protecting your airway. And it's one of those things that you do when you're sleeping, you do when you're just chilling out. You don't even know that you do it hundreds of times a day when you are healthy. So what happens when you lose that reflex is that the saliva production remains the same, but you are not, your brain is not cueing it's the body to swallow. And so you have all of the saliva kind of pooling. Sometimes we can see it come out anteriorly. And sometimes we're going to hear it like, oh, I got to kind of suction it back up because, whoa, there's more saliva here than I think. So that is indicative of a neurological disease. It could be dementia, Parkinson's, Huntington's, ALS. We see it in a lot, but what we see it in, we know, is a neurological progressive disease.
The number one cause of logging off for the last time for a person with frontotemporal dementia, which I believe the president has, is pneumonia related to aspirating food or fluids. She's correct in everything she's saying. All of these symptoms in particular are going to get worse, and they're very dangerous. I think he's got 2 to 4 months left in the land of the living, or before they invoke the 25th or impeach him, based on all these symptoms piling up and his possible history of stroke, TIA, heart failure, and kidney disease. Thank you for your attention to this matter. A bunch of you sent me this video from this voice and speech expert who's pointing out that Donald Trump is displaying signs of his swallowing mechanism getting weaker because of his dementia. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients with dementia and swallowing issues, just like this guy.
The cartels are running and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year. The drugs, it's horrible. It's devastated families. You know, you lose a child or a parent. I mean, parents are dying too with drugs.
It's progressing.
That's correct.
As you may know, I am a voice and speech professor. And if I heard this with somebody I was working with, I would immediately recommend them to their doctor to get their brain scanned, because this is a symptom of late stage dementia, because the swallow response is deteriorating.
That's correct. The primary cause that someone with frontotemporal dementia expires from is pneumonia related to the aspiration of food or fluids. The food material goes down the wrong way and it develops pneumonia in the lungs, and that ends up being mortal.
Is causing so much saliva and wetness to come forward in the mouth that he has to slurp it back into his body in order to control it, so that he doesn't just end up drooling all over himself.
Exactly. This was very pronounced in the speech he gave the morning of the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro and his wife. He was leaning forward with his head tilted down, so the moistness in his mouth was even more prominent, and he was having to work even harder to clear his mouth by swallowing. But you could hear how his swallowing was ineffective and difficult.
You listen really closely throughout this clip, you hear that wetness within his mouth, and it's causing a lot of slurring. Now, we've seen this over and over the past several months, but in this interview, it is so frequent. It is more frequent than I have ever noticed it to be. So if you are one of those people that thinks that dictators live forever, the symptom progression says otherwise.
Holy shit, that part. Thank you. So many people are in my comments, well, evil lives forever. Yeah, sometimes it aspirates a Big Mac and gets pneumonia and never recovers. With all these symptoms piling up, combined with his probable other pathology, probably history of stroke, TIA, heart failure, chronic kidney disease, I'd say he's got 2 to 4 months left in the land of the living.
I mean, it's interesting that these people are this one creator has done a whole, as a doctor in physical therapy, he has done a bunch of different content about this. Let's go.
Many of you have asked me, what can we expect from the president's dementia over the next couple of weeks or months? Well, friends, he did it yesterday, multiple times. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients with dementia, just like this guy.
Well, I got to look at this myself.
I got this.
Wow. What a view. This is the door to the bar.
What are you doing? Just give me a second. He gets up in the middle of a meeting of top executives from an industry that is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And he just walks to the door to check on the progress of his adult coloring book ballroom. His frontal lobe is shrinking. It can no longer stop his limbic system, his emotional impulse center, from doing something completely stupid.
I think really very well. Marco just gave me a note. Go back to Chevron. They want to discuss something. Go ahead. I'm going back to Chevron, Mark. Thank you, Marco.
Was there a question, Mr. President?
Yes, go ahead, Marco. What are you saying here?
Mark, if you
increase.
can update us.
Did you see his face? He's like, holy shit, brother. You weren't supposed to read that out loud. Again, his frontal lobe is atrophying. It's getting smaller inside of his brain. It was a private note he wasn't supposed to say out loud. Everybody to his left is freaking the fuck out. Like, why would you read that? Oh, hey, Susie Wiles, don't think that I didn't catch your fucking face over here. She's got that look like, I planned for this shit. I'm going to outlast him. telling y'all, with all the symptoms he's displaying and his additional medical history of possible stroke, TIA, heart failure, kidney disease, I'd say he's got 2.
Here's the thing. It's like, it's being more and more evident. Let's go.
Let's listen to this dementia patient display firm false beliefs, also known as delusions. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients with dementia, just like this guy.
Is there anything that could stop you if you wanted to?
Yeah, there's one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop, and that's very good. I don't need international law. I'm not looking to hurt people.
Do you feel your administration needs to abide by international law on the global stage?
Yeah, I do. I do. But it depends what your definition of international law is.
You mean in Greenland? We had
because you need to
start in the 1951 agreement, though. It says the United States can reopen these bases anytime you want. You can send as many troops as you want, and you haven't done it. How come?
Because I want to do it properly.
And properly means own it?
Really, it is. To me, it's ownership. Ownership is very important.
Why is ownership important here?
Because it's what I feel is psychologically needed for success. I think that ownership gives you a thing that you can't do, whether you're talking about a lease or a treaty. Ownership gives you things and elements that you can't get.
So this delusional behavior or firm false beliefs is occurring because his frontal lobe is literally shrinking inside of his skull. Frontal lobe dysfunction impacts judgment and what's known as reality testing. So the ability to actually perceive whether something is real or an idea is plausible, that ability is leaving him. Now, since there is currently no cure for frontotemporal dementia, you have caregiving strategies, which include don't argue. Do not argue with this type of patient. And that's exactly what his closest advisors do. He presents an idea or a feeling of false persecution or false fear, and they don't argue with him. You're supposed to validate the fear or the feeling that a patient has without affirming the delusional content. But of course, he's the goddamn president, so you can't really play it that way. Another caregiving strategy is redirection. Distract the patient with a gentle solution inside their delusion to take their attention off of their heightened state, such as redecorating the Oval Office, tearing down the East Wing, building a ballroom, adding another floor to the White House. With all these symptoms he's displaying, combined with all the other likely pathology he has, possible history of stroke, heart failure, TIA, chronic kidney disease, I'd say he's got 2 to 4 months left in the land of the living, or until they invoke the 25th Amendment, or he is impeached.
All right. So welcome to the channel, Pameladoism. What did you have to say about this?
Yes, peace be upon you. And I'll be honest, I definitely support the US taking over Greenland for sure. Really. This will benefit US citizens because we will be able to go to Greenland without a visa, without a passport. We will be non-deportable. We can buy real estate in Greenland and open businesses in Greenland without any issues. So I definitely support, in closing, I for sure support the US taking over Greenland and turning it to a US territory comparable to a Puerto Rico or a Guam.
So the subject is that Trump suffering from dementia. What do you have to say about the subject?
Well, that was highly speculatory. I would like to see some evidence on that.
All right, so I'll continue to play the what the conversation is about, because the whole Greenland argument, hey, I'm just going off of what I'm the content I'm seeing is pretty much saying that he is suffering dementia, and he has a certain amount of time to live. So I'm trying to understand, what could happen in this case. Let's go.
Cognitive decline continues to get worse. And as I've always said, we need to look at every single thing that Donald Trump does as a symptom of his mental decline. Whether it's his, confusing which countries that he's ending wars with, or his inability to remember people's names, or just his weird, nonsensical rants on Truth Social. If we look at it under the lens of those being symptoms, then it's pretty much crystal clear that this man has dementia. And by the way, that is no longer just my opinion. That's actually the opinion of noted psychologist Dr. John Gartner, an individual who I have quoted plenty of times on this channel here. But Dr. John Gartner recently said in an interview that Donald Trump is exhibiting clear signs of dementia. Like, we are beyond just regular cognitive decline related to aging. We're in dementia territory. And Gartner did exactly what I've done, and that is you look at everything as a symptom, and it matches up with the symptoms of dementia, which I have, sat here and read out in the past as well. But here is just a little bit of what Gartner had to say. First and foremost, he says, let's go back to Trump's, 2 weeks ago talking to the generals. And he goes off on a weird tangent about beautiful paper and how everybody loves his signature. And Gartner says, because of his cognitive decline, Trump is focusing on things like the White House ballroom and the paper that he writes things on. We're seeing a stone skipping along the water. He's going from one association to another, but it doesn't make any linear sense.
I gotta do a video.
And he also talked about Donald Trump's, speech failures, the phonemic paraphasia. And here's what he said. People don't make those kinds of phonemic paraphasias if they're tired or if they're aging. It's something very specific that is linked to dementia and organic cognitive decline. Trump's clearly demented memory loss was evident when he forgot House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries' name just a day after meeting with him last month to discuss averting the shutdown. And I'll continue in just a second, but let's talk about that. Because a lot of people,
DJ, respectfully.
Go, okay, listen.
How long is
Everybody
this
gets
clip?
tongue-tied every now and then.
It's 7 minutes, but if you want to stop and say something, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to ask is, do you have any clips of the evidence? Because I'm not arguing one way or the other. I would just like to see the evidence to
Okay, so
substantiate these
I
claims.
was actually playing the evidence earlier, so you might have missed it earlier, but I played it. I played some videos, but I'm gonna go play some more.
Let's take a look at how a dementia patient responds to a schmurder in broad daylight by ICE agents in Minneapolis yesterday. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care treating geriatric patients with dementia, just like this guy. He posted the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently and willfully, viciously ran over the ICE officer. That's not true. Who seems to have blank her in self-defense. Based on the attached clip, the same footage that all of us are seeing. It's hard to believe he's alive, but is now recovering in the hospital. He was not struck by the vehicle. He was never taken to the hospital. He was walking up and down the street just fine, with his mask still on, of course. So here's what happens with a post like this. Trump is dictating this to someone else, most likely Natalie Harp, to post to Truth Social and other places for him. This is what he really believes happened, even though he's seen the clip. This is happening because his frontal lobe is shrinking inside of his skull. It's frontotemporal dementia. This is the reason he had multiple MRIs earlier this
But do you see that this is speculation, though?
temporal lobe he actually has left. The frontal lobe is the way that you don't say or do stupid stuff that you shouldn't. But the filter of the frontal lobe is slowly disintegrating on him to where his limbic system or his emotional impulsive center will be fully in the driver's seat. The idea that the president of the United States would be this wrong about something that's on camera, it's not simply propaganda. He fully believes this. He's roughly got 2 to 4 months left in the land of the living, or until the 25th Amendment is invoked, or they just flat out impeach him.
Let's take a look at a dementia patient whose frontal lobe is shrinking inside of his skull.
I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients with dementia like this guy.
But she says, darling, please, the weightlifting is terrible. And I have to say this, the dancing they really like. She said they don't like it, they're just being nice to you. I said, that's not right. The place goes crazy. They're screaming, dance, please. But the weightlifting, but no, the girl gets up. And you see, I want to be more, but I have somebody watching. I want to be more effusive. I want to really, yeah. But she gets it, and drops the thing, walks off the stage crying. Her mother's crying, her father's crying. Guy gets up. He said, have you lifted before? A little bit. And he walks up, he could have gone ding, 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 ding. I think it was 112 pounds, huh? It's crazy.
Boy, Adderall is a magical substance, isn't it? I know a thing or two about Adderall because my wife is level 1 autistic and inattentive ADHD. And
But DJ,
herself. But for
do
someone,
you have the clips of the evidence though?
it
Just so
produces
we can get to that part?
overstimulation.
No, I'm just going by. I'm just talking about what people are saying. I'm going over the people that are clinical psychologists, people that are in the field that are saying like that his behavior is demonstrative or demonstrative of a person that is suffering from dementia.
A bunch of you have sent me this video of my friend
But even
Hillary,
he
who is a
said
speech language
an
pathologist.
opinion. So I just want to see the evidence. Is there any evidence of this?
Well, this is just a talking piece. People could speak about it. They could say, "Hey, I believe he does." They could, "I believe he doesn't." You know, this is what is. The question is he? Based on what they're saying, he's going into kidney failure. He's had different situations, and they're saying that listen, this dementia is not that far off. And based on what they're saying, how he is using certain sounds, slurping, this, that, the other, these are signs of dementia. You don't slurp up when you're talking. Let's go.
Explaining why the slurping sound in Donald Trump's speech is indicative of a neurological disease that's affecting his swallowing. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients with dementia, just like the president.
Donald Trump is giving away the fact that he has some type of neurological condition just with one sound. And here it is.
Watch it do well.
Do you hear that slurping sound? That slurping sound is an indicator to me as a speech language pathologist that something is very, very wrong with this man's brain. So what happens, what's going on with that slurping is likely that he is losing his passive swallow reflex. A passive swallow reflex is when you just swallow because it's time to swallow, because you have to clear saliva, because you're protecting your airway. And it's one of those things that you do when you're sleeping, you do when you're just chilling out. You don't even know that you do it hundreds of times a day when you are healthy. So what happens when you lose that reflex is that the saliva production remains the same, but you are not, your brain is not cueing it's the body to swallow. And so you have.
So they're saying his swallowing reflex is going away. And you see
A bunch of you sent me this video from this voice and speech expert.
He's doing it multiple times. Like on that one, I think he did it once where they showed that, but on this, you see him doing it several times. That means that his ability, like instead of him swallowing and then talking, the spit is going to the front of his mouth and then he's slurping it back, swallowing it. That is a sign of some type of neurological disorder because your mind would immediately tell you to swallow before it builds up in your mouth. That's why I'm not up here like, so blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear me every time I like say a word. Let's go.
Who's pointing out that Donald Trump is displaying signs of his swallowing mechanism getting weaker because of his dementia. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients with dementia and swallowing issues, just like this guy.
The cartels are running and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year. The drugs, it's horrible. It's devastated families. You know, you lose a child or a parent. I mean, parents are dying too with drugs.
It's progressing.
That's correct.
As you may know, I am a voice and speech professor. And if I heard this with somebody I was working with, I would immediately recommend them to their doctor to get their brain scanned, because this is a symptom of late stage dementia, because the swallow response is deteriorating.
That's correct. The primary cause that someone with frontotemporal dementia expires from is pneumonia related to the aspiration of food or fluids. The food material goes down the wrong way and it develops pneumonia in the lungs, and that ends up being mortal.
Is causing so much saliva and wetness to come forward in the mouth that he has to slurp it back into his body in order to control it, so that he doesn't just end up drooling all over himself.
Exactly. This was very pronounced in the speech he gave the morning of the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro and his wife. He was leaning forward with his head tilted down, so the moistness in his mouth was even more prominent, and he was having to work even harder to clear his mouth by swallowing. But you could hear how his swallowing was ineffective and difficult.
You listen really closely throughout this clip, you hear that wetness within his mouth, and it's causing a lot of slurring. Now, we've seen this over and over the past several months, but in this interview, it is so frequent. It is more frequent than I have ever noticed it to be. So if you are one of those people that thinks that dictators live forever, the symptom progression says otherwise.
I mean, so I don't have to have a actual diagnosis yet. I'm sure they're not going to release that. You know, they want Donald to seem like he's okay. You know, there's no problem, nothing going on, right? Because he's making some really good points, and he's able to, like, tell people to go to Greenland and this and the other and speak when it's needed. But bottom line is that there's something going on, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm not watching these videos. I mean, when I'm on my timeline, these videos are coming up, and there must be something to it, because something on my timeline, it can get really interesting. So let's go.
Everybody forgets a name every now and then. You know, any parent will tell you, you're trying to call one kid, and then you end up, you're skipping through all your kids' names, the dog's names, the cat's names, before you finally get the kid. Happens to all of us, right? Gartner says that's not what's happening with Trump, right? He forgot the year in which he was inaugurated. Let's not forget that. He's forgotten important dates. He's confusing all of these names, and the names of countries, the names of people. He's inventing people, right? Christy Whitman or Christy Whitmer, or talking about Nancy Pelosi when he's actually trying to talk about Nikki Haley. So he's screwing this up in a way that Gartner says, no. This is too common now. This is now just a part of who he is. And he adds this. He says, talking about, he couldn't remember Hakeem Jeffrey's name because Trump said, the very, very nice gentleman who I didn't really know, you know who I'm talking about. And Gartner said this. This is like when you go to visit your mother in the nursing home and you bring your sister and she goes, who's that nice lady that you brought with you? I mean, it's that level of non-recognition that we're talking about. And again, I will speak from personal experience. My grandmother, who, does have dementia, that's the same thing. It has not happened with me and my wife, thank God. I've always been her favorite. Let's be honest. If any family members are watching this, y'all know I've always been the favorite. But I do have other, relatives that will go over there, and she'll recognize one of them and be like, and who are you? It's like, well, that's, they've been married for 45 years. You know them. And also just about the fixation Trump has, like, on the beautiful paper. I love the paper. It's such great paper, which he did say. Again, that is something you see. Like, she'll be sitting there like, I like this glass. This is a really great glass. When did we get this glass? Isn't this a great glass? It's so convenient. Those are things that have happened. And again, when you see it in people with dementia, but then you see it in Trump who doesn't have dementia, no, you recognize the symptoms. Like, I'm not sitting here doing this segment because I want to make fun of Trump. It's a warning. You know, it's a warning from the mental health professional, Dr. John Gartner. It's a warning from the people who see it in their lives. We know what this is, but we ignore it at our own peril. The media ignores it at the country's peril. But there is something deeply, deeply wrong with Donald Trump's brain. And by the way, Gartner goes on to talk about the fact that his malignant narcissism, which is what Gartner described during Trump's first administration, before the cognitive decline was very obvious, but the narcissism and the anger issues, coupled with the dementia, have made him more disinhibited. That's why we are seeing, and I've pointed this out before as well, we see him curse more. We see him get angry more. He's constantly lashing out. You know, he's posting those AI videos of him literally crapping on American citizens. Gartner points out this is all dementia, like this disinhibition and the jump to anger, the just all of it, the rage, that's all related to dementia. So again, you can ignore it. You can call me like, oh, you just hate Trump. That's why you're saying this. No. When you know the symptoms and you see the symptoms, it's pretty obvious what's happening with Donald Trump. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're
So what, I mean, do you guys think that he's suffering from dementia? Does anybody want to say anything? I dropped the link in the chat if you want to like come up here and make your statement about whether or not you think Trump is suffering dementia. I believe that there is some case for this. I mean, and it's not, it's all over the place. Now people will say, well, this is you're only doing left-wing Democratic shows. Well, they're the only ones that are actually being real and talking about the fact that this might be a case. Everyone else is hiding the fact. Everyone else wants to pretend like some of the things that are happening is like, oh, okay, he couldn't be suffering dementia. That he's perfect, in perfect health. And I think he actually said that he was in perfect health. Let's go into when he actually says he's in perfect health. Let's go.
About how he's acing his cognitive tests. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients with dementia, just like this guy. The last time he was at Walter Reed, he was there for approximately the exact amount of time it takes to do a neurocognitive assessment for dementia or some other kind of pathology. He keeps repeating, the White House doctors have just reported that I'm in perfect health. The White House doctors are lying to you, sir. And we know this because the test he's referring to is the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. It is not an assessment for aptitude. It is a screening tool for dementia. And he's taken 3 of them. They're not checking to see how smart he is. Why would
they need to take 3 of them? They're trying to figure out, because I think the people in the White House know there's something wrong. And people are sitting up here being delusional, and he's making decisions. And I'm trying to understand, if the White House knows this, why are they not being honest with the people? Because they don't want to create hysteria. They don't want people to get to, all his followers to like be afraid of some of these decisions that he's making and saying, well, is this the right thing? What's going on? Let's go.
Anybody give a shit about that? They're monitoring the progress of his dementia. But because of his malignant narcissism, he can't or won't acknowledge that fact. And he further tries to bolster it by saying no previous president or vice president was willing to take these tests. Yeah, because they didn't have fucking dementia, you dipshit. Now, I bet President Biden probably took one at some point, if I'm honest. But of course, they were lying about his condition the entire time anyway. I think the current president has 2 to 4 months left in the land of the living, or until they invoke the 25th Amendment.
And that's what's sad, that people are just so delusional about what's going on. They're not seeing that this could get ready. JD Vance could actually be the president. Let's go.
And a medical expert in internal medicine, pediatrics, and obesity medicine. She does a live stream, on her YouTube channel every Monday at noon Eastern time on trending medical topics in the headlines and celebrity health. This is in the headlines. So, doctor, I want to talk about this because right now we have a 79-year-old president who falls asleep in cabinet meetings, not tired, not resting his eyes, asleep, his head down, his eyes closed, jolt, awake. and we have seen, just like we see in an older relative, but this seems to be much more serious, and it seems to be advancing. As you are watching as a doctor, take us through this. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that if you go through and you look at dementia and you go through the signs and symptoms checklist, we are all seeing it live and on stage from President Donald Trump. We know that dementia has memory loss, but not just that. And we've seen him have trouble with word finding, forgetting names, forgetting meeting with people who are really large and well-known names, people whom he should know. He's forgotten them. There's also issues with judgment. We've seen him have poor judgment, and judgment that makes him think it's okay to say things like quiet piggy, judgment that makes him think it's okay to talk to Somalian supporters and call them garbage or say that they come from garbage. His judgment is off as the leader of the free world. You also, with dementia, will have impulse control losses. And certainly we've seen that with him, where he does things that just really don't seem like they have controlled thought processes. Oh, and then tangential thought. Being on stage, you're supposed to be talking about one thing, and then you start talking about McDonald's, and then you talk about the Gulf of America, going off into tangents. The other thing that's very important, Don, is when we think about the risk factors for dementia. Of course, being over the age of 65, and we know that he's 79 years old, also family history. President Donald Trump.
It's a history of Alzheimer in his family, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. His dad, Fred Trump Sr., had Alzheimer's, diagnosed in 1991, and he struggled with it till he passed away in 1999. And so we're seeing signs and symptoms real time. We know he has various risk factors, and he still had that MRI, and he has not revealed what it is. Unless he has, because we know he told that reporter, I don't know what my MRI was from. It wasn't my brain because I passed the cognitive test, which is something you could never do. So, they used to say a hit dog will holler. It sounds like it could have been a brain MRI. And if we're seeing it, Don, his cabinet, his family, everyone around him is seeing it also.
They're seeing it as well. I want to play this. This is what you're talking about, the MRIs and all of that. First, let's play the MRI. This is the MRI thing.
What part of your body was the MRI looking at? I have no idea. It was just an MRI. What part of the body? It wasn't the brain because I took a cognitive test and I aced it. I got a perfect mark, which you would be incapable of doing.
What? I mean, he wouldn't know. He doesn't know. I mean, can you imagine if they asked Joe Biden that? And I mean, what is? I wasn't of the brain because I know. Please, what are you seeing and hearing when you see this?
It's all ridiculous. Of course, he would know what the MRI was for, unless his cognitive decline is even worse than I think. But the other thing, it goes to judgment. If you're dealing with 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds.
Let's think about this. Who would take an MRI and not know what it was for? So that either he's purposely eluding the question, or he really didn't know what it was for. Exactly what she said. Like, what are we talking about here? You guys cannot be that really on. Come on now. He's 70-something years old. It's not abnormal for a person with that being branded in the family and probably his history that he might be suffering from some level of dementia. That's not abnormal. So let's not pretend. Let's go.
And you say, hey, did someone take something from the kitchen? A 3-year-old might say, it wasn't me and I didn't take a cookie, because they don't have the judgment to know that they're telling on themselves. It feels like he's doing that in that moment. And so people don't just get MRIs for fun or just random, especially not the president of the United States of America. So it feels like they're really definitely trying to hide what that MRI was from. And he seems to be very sensitive, because I don't know who's doing the counting, but he's mentioned getting acing this cognitive test more times than I can remember. And so it really sounds like he's calling attention to something that we all see related to his memory.
Yeah.
I remember, I mean, this was just recently when he was asked about what he said about
June 6th, he's gonna be 80. Come on now. It's not abnormal to think the person that's about to be 80 could be suffering from some cognitive issues. Let's go.
About Venezuela. And he said, you would release the report, right? You would release the report, and then he doesn't release the report. He's like, I never said that. And I mean, he had just said it, I believe, 3 to 5 days before.
Yes.
Let's play it, and I want to get your response. Here it is.
President, you released video of that first boat strike on September 2nd, but not the second video. Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what
I
happened?
don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem.
You said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says.
You said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
Yeah, and kudos to that journalist. Was that Rachel Scott? Because
No, she's one of the great. She's from ABC, and she's a very brilliant Black woman, Black reporter. I mean, just a reporter. She happens to be Black, but she didn't fall. She didn't take the bait.
Exactly. She stood strong and she repeated what he said and she stood up to him, which is something to be said because we know that he's had quite the history with female journalists, Black female journalists. Oh, he just loves to insult them. But yes, he forgot. Now, we do know that he has a history of not telling the truth and he will lie purposefully with impunity. But it really felt like he forgot the way that he said it so emphatically. And if so, then that's another one of those signs, memory loss, which could be consistent with dementia. Regardless of his diagnosis, I'm not his doctor, I don't know. Regardless of that, what I can say is that he is displaying signs of dementia day by day. What his diagnosis is, hey, maybe the MRI will tell us. But regardless, he's got several signs and symptoms, several risk factors. And so it's something I'm certainly suspicious of, that he has dementia.
Why so many cognitive tests that he seems to be so proud of? And it's not a good, I don't think it's a good look for him to have a 79-year-old president bragging about the number of cognitive tests that he has and, you know, that he passed all of these tests with flying colors. I mean, it's just sort of, you know, brings more attention to it. Why so many cognitive tests?
It brings more attention. The cognitive tests are likely because there are suspicions or worries that he has cognitive decline. You don't just do cognitive tests for someone who is not displaying symptoms. And the fact that he doesn't seem to know that and that he's bragging on these tests that are very simple to people who do not have dementia, who do not have cognitive decline, he's bragging on them as if he's taking a neurosurgery board certification, as if he's taking the LSAT or some major examination. These are simple tests that people with normal memory, normal cognitive function can pass. So this gets back to that judgment part of it, Don. I feel like he doesn't have the proper judgment to know that he's making himself look a bit silly by passing, if he's passing, because to my knowledge, those tests have not been released to us. If he's passing those tests, he doesn't understand really how rudimentary it is. It's not impressive. And so his judgment by bragging on those tests is off. And I'm just thinking about more signs and symptoms. Even sometimes the way you get a loss of visual spatial memory if you have dementia. And I'm thinking back to when he was on a trip overseas, it might have been to Japan, and one of the women there was kind of grabbed him by the elbow to guide him, you know, and sometimes when he's getting off.
Yes, there it is. Yeah.
Oh, we have it? Yeah.
This, yeah, do you see that? Yes.
So if you sense that someone is kind of getting a little bit lost or their spatial awareness is off, that could be another sign of dementia. Or if they're getting off of Air Force One and walking in a way that's not a straight line, but almost meandering or wandering instead of going directly, another potential sign and symptom. Again, I'm not his doctor, but these are signs of dementia, and Donald Trump is displaying them on a daily basis. Not to mention, looks like they're cutting his schedule a bit short. He likes to brag about all of his stamina, but his days are shorter and shorter, and he's presenting himself in front of crowds that are very Donald Trump friendly, mostly, where he's not having to be sharp, not having to be ready with any kind of comebacks. So, yeah.
I want to ask you just real quickly. I wanted to ask you about, you know, sometimes older people, especially if they are exhibiting some of these things and their world is shrinking, or, you know, they feel like they're being attacked, they start attacking, even if you're just asking them a normal question. I've seen it with relatives who are senior people. I want to play this when he calls a reporter piggy. Watch.
So he dictated a couple of memos to himself. Give me a break. You're going to find out what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that I know, including J.P. Morgan.
Sir,
Yeah,
is
Jennifer,
there
go
something
ahead. Go ahead.
incriminating in the file,
Venezuela,
sir?
Quiet.
On Venezuela, sir, you've had a lot of meetings.
Okay, so that, and, you know, calling Ilhan Omar garbage and yelling at reporters saying that they're dumb and they're stupid, and, you know, which network do you work for? And then, so does that say, because he just seems to be really angry and defensive?
He does. He does. And another sign of dementia, personality changes, psychological changes, having paranoia, having anger, all fall into being signs of dementia. And can we go back to the judgment again? If I were going to call someone piggy, which I would not, I would make sure that I'm slim and trim with 18% body fat, but that's an aside.
So just because,
Dr. Frida, don't you specialize in obesity?
listen, just because Biden had dementia does not mean Donald Trump doesn't. So I don't know why you keep bringing up Biden and the Democrats. I'm not a Democrat, by the way. I don't know why you guys keep thinking I'm a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat. I didn't vote for Donald or Kamala. So there we go. Other neurologists with pertinent professional experience took note of the frequency of cognitive tests that Trump is receiving. It suggests alarm behind closed doors. Exactly. You don't say anything about Biden falling downstairs more than a slinky. Listen, he probably has some issues too. I'm sure if you look him up right now, he might be going to the doctor. But the problem is, the thing is that we want to pretend like Donald Trump is invincible and he can't get nothing. He's of that age where these things kick in. I don't even understand why do we vote presidents in so damn old that that dementia is about the onset. This is the part that I find crazy. Every time we vote a president, they're damn near about to die halfway anyway. And I think it's weird.
Tell him, give me a call.
I was just like, because you told us about his cankles or the big ankles. That's obesity and heart issues, right? And right,
it could be. I don't know what it is in him.
It could be, yeah. But there was
signs that could be consistent.
Thank you, Dr. Frida. I know that you have a very busy day. We appreciate you taking time out for us. So now take time out for your patients because they're in really good hands. Thank you, Dr. Frida. Make sure you do.
Thank you, Dr. Frida. Thank you, Don Lemon, for your take on the whole dementia situation. And here's the thing. I am not a doctor. I'm just like listening to all this information. I'm like, okay, why is no one talking about this? You'll see little breadcrumbs here and there, but I think they have very, very soundly kept out the news, just like they did with Joe Biden. So just because Joe Biden was able to keep it out, now you want to just do the same thing for Trump. It's like, okay, where is the accountability? Let's go. On either side, both of them. If Biden had dementia, he shouldn't be a president, and neither should a Trump if he has dementia. That is a very dangerous situation for a president to be having and displaying. Let's go. Welcome, Pam Mulattoism.
Peace. And I actually dropped down because I didn't want to keep interrupting the clips asking for the evidence. But I still haven't seen any evidence of this, but I will say this. The best way for us to assess this particular claim is to look at the policies that Trump has enacted or at least attempted to enact. Now, in my estimation, this is why I brought up the Greenland situation. If the U.S. colonizes Greenland, this benefits U.S. citizens overall. If the U.S. can successfully deport all illegal aliens out of the U.S., this benefits U.S. citizens overall. If the U.S. can minimize the amount of money that we grant to the illegal aliens that are still in the U.S., this benefits U.S. citizens overall. So whether Trump has dementia or not, and once again, I have not seen any evidence that he does, but I'm not advocating that he doesn't. But if Trump does indeed have dementia, I can still at least acknowledge that many of the policies, notice I did not say all, but many of the policies that Trump has enacted or is attempting to enact, they benefit specifically descendants of U.S. chattel slaves. And I say this in closing. First of all, thank you for not cutting me off and allowing me to, have the floor. Additionally, I see that Trump is attempting to ban immigrants and the descendants of immigrants particularly illegal aliens, from usurping the 14th Amendment, which was specifically created for exclusively for descendants of U.S. chattel slaves. So, the best way for us to assess this situation is to judge Trump and every other president by their policies, respectfully.
Okay, so let's speak about policy. What is happening right now with the Trump administration that I feel like is a very important thing? Let's go into this.
President Trump is pulling the U.S. out of 66 international groups that he says, quote, no longer serve American interests, including a UN climate treaty. Our next guest has been calling on him to do just that, and it comes less than a year after pulling out of the Paris Climate Accords. Joining me now is Mark Morano of ClimateDepot.com, and he's the executive editor there. Mark, it's always great having you on. So let's talk about this, because President Trump famously took us out of that Paris agreement in his first term, saying, I'm the president of Pittsburgh, not Paris. He's doing it again with this agreement. Why don't you break down what this actually means? Is this more than a symbolic gesture?
Yes. If you know, we've been going through the yin-yang of this climate policy for over a decade. Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. And so what the problem is if a future president, AOC or Gavin Newsom comes in, they just put us right back in. So what Donald Trump's done this time, different than just pulling us out of the UN Paris Climate Pact, think of it like a Jenga table. He's pulled out the base of the Jenga table, and it's collapsing. This is the 1992 Rio Earth Summit, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change treaty that is the foundation for all of the madness. I was going to say mandates, but actually mandates, madness, same thing. And this goes back to 1992. This is net zero. This is the UN climate treaties. This is the entire United Nations climate agenda, the grandfather of them all. By withdrawing from this, there's legal analysts say, and according to Politico and other publications, you're going to need the next president to resubmit for Senate ratification to get us back into this mess.
Wow.
So Trump 2.0 has gone and exceeded everything beyond what Trump 1.0 in his first term did. And we're also out of the UN Population Fund, which is a great thing. We're also out of the UN Climate Panel, the IPCC, which was merely a political body masquerading as a science panel that had to take their orders line by line from politicians when they would do their climate reports. So this is a day of liberation. This is true America first. One of the most significant things he's done in his presidency
Here's the thing, because for those that like, oh, well, you're only talking about like the Democrats and this, that. Okay, this is Fox News. This is 100% Republican group that are saying that, okay, he needs to withdraw from all this. So I'm showing both sides here. So anybody that wants to be like, you're a Democrat, you're a blah, 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 whatever. Okay, so this is the person that's the Fox News is very much for him pulling out the treaty, but I'm also going to show the other side and what they think. So let's finish what he said.
It comes to international regulatory policy.
Yeah, I'm so glad you broke that down. You're right. It is. It has great significance as you laid out, but also it's going to save us a lot of money. I just wonder if we should just pull out of the UN altogether, but we can have that discussion later. Yeah. All right, let's talk about this, because there's a new.
So here's a question: Should we pull out of the UN altogether?
My answer is yes, definitely, but for a different reason. The reason I say that, pardon the expression, the reason my stance is fuck the UN is because throughout our history, we've had descendants of U.S. chattel slaves that have went to the UN and tried to get the UN to hold the U.S. accountable for the atrocities that the U.S. committed against us as descendants of U.S. chattel slaves, and the UN has been unable to do that. So, fuck them, with all due respect.
Okay, well, let's hear about that aspect, because I definitely was waiting for you to bring that up. So let's go into what's going on with that. Let's go.
of Dana with the Data, Quick Takes. And today we are talking about reparations. Yes, honey, with a twist. Now, President Donald Trump withdraws the United States from key climate treaty and dozens of other groups dealing with the UN. So, U.S. President Donald Trump has withdrawn the United States from dozens of international organizations, including many that work to combat climate change. Oh, God. Now, 66 affected bodies are UN related, and Donald Trump administration is calling it not only woke, but racist. Yeah.
President Donald Trump has signed a major executive order withdrawing the United States from a controversial United Nations forum that he says promotes a global diversity, equity, and inclusion reparations agenda. On January the 7th, 2026, President Donald Trump issued an executive order directing the United States to withdraw from the UN Permanent Forum on People of African Descent, a body established to elevate issues affecting people of African heritage worldwide. According to US officials, the decision was prompted by what they describe as the forum's advocacy for race-based policies and a global reparations agenda, positions the Trump administration says conflict with the US Constitution's Equal Protection Clause and American values. The administration previously accused the forum of advancing racial grievances and having victim-based social policies. US officials also argued that the UN body violated the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. State Department spokesperson Tommy Pigott declared that America will no longer lend its credibility to racist organizations. The United States is proudly withdrawing from racist organizations such as this forum. He added, radical activists who embrace DEI ideology and seek to compel the United States to adopt policies mandating race-based wealth redistribution in organizations such as the UN Permanent Forum on People of African Descent will no longer be entertained. The UN Permanent Forum on People of African Descent was set up to address issues including racial inequality, discrimination, and historical injustices. Critics in Washington have taken particular aim at agenda items they claim to go beyond traditional diplomacy, including proposals for financial compensation for descendants of slavery and colonialism, as well as calls for reparatory justice in emerging fields like artificial intelligence. The body had previously argued that only reparatory justice can address what is described as technology-enabled racism in fields such as artificial intelligence. The forum's supporters argue that these discussions are part of a long-running UN effort to confront systemic discrimination and uplift historically marginalized communities, a message that's at odds with the White House's framing. This move is part of a wider rollback of US participation in international institutions, a strategy that has seen Washington exit dozens of global organizations and treaties this week alone. In the same executive action, the Trump administration also pulled the US out of 66 international bodies, including climate, health, human rights, and development organizations that the White House labels as contrary to American interests. Senior officials have defended these decisions, saying that they will refocus US resources on national priorities rather than global agendas.
Now, here's the thing. I support and agree with President Donald Trump and the Trump administration on this. Why? Because it does not represent Black Americans. Not only that, it does not benefit Black Americans for even having these organizations in the UN in the first place. So here is Secretary Mark Rubio. And this is what he posted on X. President Trump's withdrawal from 66 international organizations sends a clear message that it is no longer acceptable to invest the American people's hard-earned tax dollars in institutions that cannot demonstrate results, accountability, or respect for our national interests. Absolutely. And I agree with that. Now, here's what the State Department posted on X. We are rejecting the outdated model of multilateralism that treats the American tax dollar as the world's underwriter for a sprawling architect of global governance. President Trump's withdrawal shows that the era of writing blank checks to international bureaucracies is over. Absolutely. Because this was billions and trillions of dollars going out to these international NGOs supposed to be under the skies of United Nations to other countries benefiting foreigners and not the American people, specifically Black Americans.
But here's the question, is that if they had a whole thing about reparations and he's saying it's a racist bill and this, that, the other, what is not for Black Americans? Or is it because that he's also including that they're saying, okay, people of chattel slavery and also colonialism? So is it like that we Black Americans, the FBA, are like, okay, well, no, we don't like we don't need to be in a United Nations push for reparations to be paid back to. It can only be the Black Americans, or it can't be the people that suffered colonialism, or what are your thoughts on that?
Miss, respectfully, there are nations within the United Nations that owe Black Americans reparations, and they have not paid us. I can name some of them. Not just the African nations such as Ghana, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, etc. But you also have the UK, Portugal, Spain, France, etc. These nations within the United Nations, they owe Black Americans, they owe descendants of U.S. chattel slaves reparations, and they have not given them to us, really. So once again, fuck them. I don't want no more of my tax revenue going to the goddamn United Nations. They owe me. So fuck them, respectfully.
So can you please stop using the F word? What? Like, bro.
Well, respectfully,
I have a
the
lot. No,
sentiment.
you can't say the F word and then say respectfully. Like, just that this
No, I
is.
said fuck them, not fuck you.
No, don't say F anybody.
No,
Like,
fuck them,
no, listen.
respectfully.
Don't say F anybody because that is going to mess up my channel and what I'm trying to do.
Respectfully, you've cursed at me multiple times on the same channel.
Well, I'm saying by continuously using the F bomb, and I have not interrupted you. I let you speak, so I don't
Yeah.
understand what the problem is, bro. Why can't you at least have
No, the
decorum?
problem is not with you. The problem's with the UN,
Just
which you
don't
asked me about.
say the F word. You could say I don't like the UN or F the UN. You have to say
Well, I'm
F.
clear on that, and moving forward, I won't use any more profanity. But did you understand the points?
This is Pam Mulattoism. He's speaking. He's saying that F the UN, but I'm like, okay, many Black people have gone to the UN to express their things, even from America. So I don't understand where it's like, oh, okay, well, we want to just withdraw from the UN, and now we want to make it F the UN. I don't understand that rhetoric.
Well, that's why I asked you, did you understand the point? Because what I said clearly, and I articulated it very clearly, you just conceded that multiple Black Americans have went to the UN and tried to hold not only the US accountable, but many of the member nations of the UN accountable for their role in the transatlantic chattel slave trade. My question is, what was the result?
Well, apparently they were coming up with a reparations act or whatever they were trying to do to actually, and then that thing got shot down. He said America has withdrawn from all those things, and he said he called them racist. Let's
You
go.
weren't seeing
Hold on,
none
hold
of
on,
this.
hold
You
on.
weren't
Let's
going.
not speed past that. Respectfully, does Spain, Portugal, France, Nigeria, etc., 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 these nations that were complicit in enslaving your ancestors, do they need the U.S. to help them pay you reparations, or can they pay you reparations on their own?
They're not gonna, based on the 14th Amendment, they're not gonna do that. Like, I don't know where you guys don't get it. That that's not gonna happen. Like, it's like that's a pipe dream.
So you just said it. So basically, since they have not compensated us, F them. How you can't understand that?
Okay, understand. Well, but this is this that I'm talking about like just what's going on in the United States, not even what's going on in the UN. The UN is saying that they want to come and put this something together to make it happen, and then America's just withdrawn from that whole notion. So
They're saying they want to put something together to make it happen, correct?
that's what the UN was doing.
All
Let me
right,
go.
how long?
Let me
Can I
go
ask you a
back
question?
and play what was said because he broke
But
it
how
down.
long has Trump been the president?
I mean, he was about what 5 years?
Exactly. Slavery ended how long ago?
What 200 years ago?
Exactly. So they had 200 years to compensate us. Now they are using the excuse that Trump exited the UN International Conference as
Right.
the excuse.
Not the excuses like that. He actually said it was a racist that the bills that
That's
were
my point. DJ Genesis, if they wanted to pay us reparations, don't you realize they could have done it hundreds of years ago?
okay, they could have, yeah. But
Okay, so that's why
based on
it's
based
after.
on the 14th Amendment, though, they
I'm
can't
trying
do.
to I'm trying to respond to your actual question to me. You said you don't understand why it's after the UN. That's the exact reason, DJ Genesis, because they had over 200 years. These member nations, they had over 200 years to compensate your family, and they chose not to. So F them.
All right, so let's go into what the rest of it is saying. So they're really talking about why they withdrew and what the reasoning behind it is. Let's go.
Foreigners and not the American people, specifically Black Americans. We weren't seeing none of this. We weren't going to never benefit from this. Now, I want to highlight the executive order. So this is the executive order that President Trump signed on January 7th, withdrawing the United States from international organizations, conventions, and treaties that are contrary to the interests of the United States. I'm not going to read all this. You guys could go to the whitehouse.gov and read it, but I wanted to highlight the list of the said organizations. So these are the organizations from which the United States shall withdraw. Carbon-Free Energy Compact, which is BS. Commission, Environmental Corporation, whatever. Freedom Online Coalition, who cares? But I want to scroll down, right? And bring your attention to this. Right here. Permanent Forum on People of African Descent. So when you Google, Trump says no to reparations and withdraw from the United States, he's talking about reparations for Africa. He's like, hell to the no. United States is not an American Express card. We are not paying for reparations for Africa or the Caribbean or South America or anywhere else in this world. And I agree with him because I looked up Permanent Forum on People of African Descent. And this is what I found. Now, who and what is this organization called Permanent Forum on People of African Descent? Who are they? What do they do? Who do they represent? Are Black Americans included in this? I don't think so. This is clearly just for the continent of Africa. So scrolling down here, you see all of these, different non-governmental organizations. So it's just one organization after another. You have the main organization, Permanent Forum for People of African Descent. And when you go to that organization, they have dozens of other organizations. One in particular, LGBTQIA plus human rights defenders. Scroll down a little bit and you see the Pan-African Development Forum. And we all know that Pan-African has never benefited Black Americans. And then I see here, Toronto Black Farmers and Food Growers Collective. Well, what about the Black farmers here in the United States?
Oh, you're saying Pan-Africanism has never benefited Black Americans? Wait a minute here. I don't agree with that, but okay, we'll keep it going. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, first of all, Mr. Know-It-All, welcome to the channel.
Thank
Welcome. Hey, did you have something?
you. You said Pan-Africanism. I don't think Pan-African, monetarily, Pan-Africanism has never benefited Black Americans. And we live in a capitalistic society. So in order to benefit us, it has to be monetarily. So no, I don't think Pan-Africanism has never benefited Black Americans. Not monetarily. Maybe, as far as your feelings, but not monetarily.
But
we don't live in a.
Hold on. Wasn't it the Pan-Africanists that started the whole civil rights movement? So you're saying that didn't benefit Black Americans?
Pan-Africanism did not start the civil rights movement.
They provided.
Can you name them?
Can you name the Pan African that started the civil rights movement?
No, I'm just saying, okay, W.E.B. Du Bois, Malcolm X, they all were a part of Pan African Congresses, met with African
No,
leaders and advocate for the rights of Black people globally, putting pressure on the U.S. foreign and domestic policy. That's the reason why there was a thing about anti-racism and oppression in the U.S. with anti-colonialism movements in Africa and the Caribbean. So that's W.B. Du Bois, Malcolm X, and other leaders, African leaders that met with them. So,
But do you realize you're proving the point? Everyone you just named was a Black American,
no, the
meaning
point you
that we
said
benefited ourselves.
monetarily, I'm thinking about
that no.
money because we live in a capitalistic society. So you got to be talking money, or it's like
Well, at the time, okay. So you're saying that the civil rights movement didn't help the African society,
No, what
American.
I'm saying is the civil rights movement was started by Black Americans and mulatto Americans. We benefited ourselves. When you speak about Pan Africanism, all of the things that benefited us that you can name that you attribute to Pan Africanism was actually done by Black Americans. Or in other words, you cannot name how Caribbeans or Africans benefited Black Americans. I'm curious to see you try.
That's not the question. No, she said that Pan Africanism has not benefited Black Americans, and I'm saying that Pan Africanism was a part of the civil rights movement. It created the foundation of the civil rights movement. You had people like Du Bois, the NAACP, who
you have to prove that.
had to prove that the civil rights movement was also a Pan African movement. That's the reason.
No, prove that the civil rights movement started with Pan Africanism. That's impossible to prove. You know it.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I'm saying
really.
W.E.B. Du Bois, okay, was one of the biggest people in the civil rights movement.
He didn't start the civil rights movement though.
That was a bold claim you made.
Yeah, it
So,
wasn't true, respectfully.
well, I would say if Du Bois, both him and Malcolm X attended the Pan African Congress, met with African leaders, and they advocated for the rights of Black people globally, putting pressure on the U.S. for foreign and domestic policy. So the bottom line is that, like, I get even so. What you would say, Malcolm X is a tether, right? Because I think he's part Caribbean, isn't he? So is he a
No,
tether?
Malcolm X is not a tether because his pop
Every-
is Black American.
Yeah, he's FBA.
Okay, so if he's an FBA and he attended the Pan African Congress and met with African leaders, wouldn't he be a Pan African that
Just because you attend a conference, don't make you that. I mean, I
No, but
can.
brother, you letting off the hook. The point is, no matter what the pardon me, no matter what the ideology is, everyone you're naming is a Black American that worked to benefit Black Americans. You cannot name Caribbeans or Africans
but they
that
had
have collect.
Pan African ideals. They had Pan African like the they understood like the whole Pan Africanism mindset. They
Yes,
were
and this is part of our detriment as Black Americans. When you say they, you're speaking about the Black Americans that had a Pan African mindset. This same Pan African mindset manifested to Black Americans literally supporting mass immigration to the point where have been ethnically displaced out of our own communities by immigrants that we welcomed into the country. With all due respect. That's why I get back to the focal point. Even if you argue that the Black Americans that were Pan Africans did great work in the U.S. that benefited Black Americans, you cannot name groups of Caribbeans or groups of Africans that have benefited Black America. Really, you cannot.
all right. So Army Vet said a very good point. The U.S. Civil Rights Movement was not started by Pan Africanism, rather Pan African ideas and networks. Okay, that's a good point. So
And it was
I
started by Black Americans.
it doesn't matter whether they're Black Americans. Bottom line is that she said that Pan Africanism has not benefited African Americans.
Oh, you hear what you just said? You try to write your own people out of history. The
No,
civil rights movement was started by Black Americans. Could we at least agree to that?
Okay, why do you have to always do that when you come on my channel? She
But tell the
just
truth.
no. What she just said is that Pan Africanism has not benefited the Black community.
It was just one organization after another. You have the main organization, Permanent Forum for people of African descent. And when you go to that organization, they have dozens of other organizations. One in particular, LGBTQIA plus human rights defenders. Scroll down a little bit and you see the Pan-African Development Forum. And we all know that Pan-African has never benefited Black Americans. And then I see here, Toronto Black Farmers and Food Growers Collective. Well, what about the Black farmers here in the United States?
Overall,
I don't see no
what you said is
organizations
true.
listed here in the UN for that.
Yeah, where's
We
the
are
lie?
not included in this. What do they call themselves? People of African descent.
Yeah,
So
facts.
I'm trying to understand is that so when you say that the Pan African the Pan Africanism has never helped the Black people in America. I don't get it.
She said never. I'm saying overall, it has been a detriment for sure. Definitely. Matter of fact, without Pan Africanism, you wouldn't have a Sheila Jackson Lee. Without Pan Africanism, you wouldn't have a Byron Donalds who advocates against reparations. Without Pan Africanism, you wouldn't have a Myron Gaines in the U.S. right now.
True.
Without Pan Africanism, you wouldn't have the whole Somali scandal that's taking our tax revenue, our Black American tax revenue, and sending it overseas to Somalia.
Is it only Black American tax revenue or just
When did I say that?
You just said Black American tax revenue.
Exactly. That's what I said.
So there it's only Black American tax
When
revenue.
did I say that? You cannot. That's what I'm saying. You cannot mischaracterize what I'm saying. What I'm saying is quite clear. What I'm saying is some of the tax revenue that the Somalis have sent overseas to Somalia, that was paid to the U.S. government by Black Americans and could have been recycled throughout the Black American community to better our own communities.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. That does not mean it would have been.
That's my point. Hold on. You just said it.
Saying that just because
Uh-huh.
that this would have been available, that it would have been siphoned into the Black community.
No, what I'm saying
if
is,
they did it, if they
well, go
did
ahead,
it,
brother.
spend-
But I want
if
to
the-
hold on. Let me respond to her because
all
she
right,
said it
go
to me.
ahead.
Yes, you said coulda, woulda, shoulda. If we did not advocate for masses of African immigrants to come to the U.S., we could have kept that same tax revenue within our own community. It would have developed our own community, and we would be in a better position than we are today, especially in Minneapolis, where the Black Americans have been ethnically displaced by Africans. Can't you understand that?
You don't have any idea where your tax you have no control of where your tax dollars are sent and done. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, I'm speaking clear English. What part you don't understand?
So you're saying that they could have said, "Hey, unless all Black Americans stop paying taxes and say, I'll put the money towards this."
Oh, when did I say that?
Determine whether or not the tax dollars are being put to the welfare system or whatever.
No, what I'm saying is, if they were not here, they would not be eating off our taxes. Can you understand that?
And let me
Hold
say
on. Let her understand that because I'm trying to trigger a light bulb.
Okay.
Do you realize if they were not here, they could not eat off our taxes? If they were not here, they would not be able to eat off our taxes.
Not be able to eat off the taxes, but it could be a Chinese, it could be a Saudi. There's other.
Exactly. You're proving my point. We advocated for every immigrant group that you just spoke about. We advocated for them to come here. That was a mistake. Don't you realize that?
Well, I don't know who this is, brother. You're stupid because Black Americans are lazy as fuck. No, they're not. I mean, I put the link in the chat, so that's the link if you guys can see it.
Yes, but DJ Genesis, I'm
Okay,
asking.
let's say for every $5 that goes to the YT community, $1 goes to the Black community. Okay, so if the Somalis just took $3 billion from the black community, but all the white tea money went to where it's supposed to be went, but our money went to Somalis and Nigerians scamming. So it looks on paper, it looks like we're getting the resources we need, but behind the scenes, all our resources are going to immigrants, people of color, minorities. So on paper, it looks like we're getting what the resources we need, but behind the scenes, they're taking it and giving it to immigrants.
But I think you got to minimize it because you gave it too much wiggle room. To be direct, to be concise, DJ Genesis, don't you realize that if these immigrants were not in the U.S., they would not be able to eat off our tax revenue?
They would not be able to eat off of our tax revenue.
If they were not here. Can't you understand that?
So and who made them be able to be over here?
We literally advocated for the 1965 Immigration Naturalization Act. When I say we, I'm speaking about descendants of U.S. chattel slaves during the civil rights movement. But are you able to answer the question? Because I answered yours. Don't you realize that if these immigrants were not in the U.S., they would not be able to eat off our tax revenue?
But yes, but I would say not only just Somalians.
Well, I'm not saying just Somalians. That's why I said immigrants.
Why are we only focused on the Somalians and
No, I
not the?
said immigrants. I didn't just say Somalians. I said
So when
immigrants.
you are talking about like that, you're calling ICE on people. Are you calling ICE on like the Chinese restaurants?
Yes.
Okay. Because
Full
I would.
disclosure. Hold on. Well, let me say this. Let me answer your question just for the listeners. Full disclosure. I literally got over 40 European immigrants deported myself. I call ICE on European immigrants, Asian immigrants, African immigrants, Arabian immigrants, Caribbean immigrants. I don't have no picks.
So I want to just do this real quick. Shouts out to the Black Cleaner. Thank you for your super chat. And let me just go ahead and play the song for you.
I am blessed to make money, money making money, money making money, money making money, money making money, manifest making money, money making money, money making money, money making money. I ain't stressed, making money, money making money, money making money, money making money. Gratitude is my attitude. I'm making money moves. Jewelry in a safe, piggy bank on full. And I'm living life abundant. I'm making money fast. I'm a money making magnet, making cold hard cash. I'm making money. Oh, I am blessed.
All right, so that is the money mantra. Shouts out to the Black Cleaner. He says Pan Africanism has been weaponized to be used as a buffer class against Black Americans. What are your thoughts on that?
That's true.
What do you think? What do you mean by buffer class? Though? What is that? A buffer class?
You got, if you look at the Congressional Black Caucus, for instance, is mainly comprised of black immigrants and the descendants of black immigrants, and they advocate for policies that are detrimental against the black American community, primarily pro mass immigration policies that have eradicated black American communities. And really, DJ Genesis, when I ask you this, I'm asking you to implement the instinct of foresight. Now, I'm gonna cite 3 examples. I could cite more, but just so you understand what I'm saying. If you look at Miami, New York City, and Boston, they literally have zero majority black American communities. Don't you realize if we continue to turn a blind eye to mass immigration, the entirety of the country can look like Miami, New York City, and Boston, where there are zero majority Black American communities? Just mathematically, I'm asking, do you realize that this can happen?
Repeat the question. The reason why I'm asking that because as you're asking the question, I'm like getting more content to like discuss the subject. So go ahead, ask the question again. I'm sorry because I was like kind of.
So in major cities across America,
No, it's all right, brother.
immigrant.
I'll repeat the question. It's all right.
Oh,
And I'm only repeating it for the listeners. If you look at Miami, New York City, and Boston, they literally have zero majority Black American communities. Don't you realize that if we continue to turn a blind eye to mass immigration, the entirety of the United States can look like Miami, New York, and Boston, where there are zero majority Black American communities?
Whose fault is it that we don't have Black American communities though?
It's our fault for being complicit and welcoming in the people that are ethnically displacing
How
us.
how do we determine like how like okay so do we
And you notice you're not answering my question, right? I can
okay, no,
answer yours.
no, I don't think that because let me tell you why. Because
Go ahead.
America is the country of called the melting pot, right? So there is more than just like there's other immigrants that are here that have not. Listen, we don't control who comes in and out the country. We don't control who gets the welfare and this, that, the other. The
But are you
government.
able to answer the question I asked you though, respectfully?
You're saying that if these didn't if that we could get replaced by them.
No,
I mean,
no. I asked a simple question, respectfully. Are you able to implement the instinct of foresight to realize that just as New York has zero majority Black American communities, even though they used to, just as Boston has zero majority Black American communities, even though they used to, just as Miami has zero majority Black American communities, even though they used to, if we continue to turn a blind eye to mass immigration, the entirety of the U.S. will look like New York City, Boston, and Miami, and will have zero majority Black American communities. Do you realize this, sis?
I would agree with you if there was a such thing that exists today as a Black community.
When I say Black American community,
There
I'm
is
talking
no
about.
such thing as a Black community. That's why Dr. Claude Anderson had a whole like thing called Power Nine.
But DJ Genesis, let's not get lost.
You're
When I
trying to
say
tell me that these people can come in and they
no,
will
hear me out. I'm trying to tell you what I'm trying to tell you.
outnumber the Black community.
No, you don't
Yeah,
have to speculate. You don't have to speculate on what I'm saying. I'm telling you what I'm saying. When I say a majority Black American community, I mean exactly that. A community where we are the demographic majority. There are still communities in the US that are majority Black American. My question is, and it's not rocket science. I don't know why you're trying to deflect. My
right.
question is,
I'm trying to
all right, go
process
ahead.
that question. I live in Texas, where we have the most Black people per capita in the United States.
Exactly. And the
Oh,
total
and
number of majority.
I finish like driving, unless I do DoorDash. And let
Uh-huh.
me tell you something: all the people living in these houses that I'm like dropping DoorDash off are Black people living in houses in Texas. And I don't, I like every once in a while I encounter a white person or a Latino, but the majority of them are Black people living in houses, doing good, doing whatever. Now, are
Now,
they all
DJ Genesis,
a
are you
Black
aware?
community all living together? No, they're not. The problem with the Black community, because there would be no way to outnumber the Black community if we actually had community.
All right,
We are
but do you remember the question I asked you?
no, the birth rate is going down.
Exactly.
So other countries are coming in here, they're having children. So yes, the
Exactly.
countries outnumber us.
You just said it.
But the problem is that we don't even have a community like even called the Black community. Everybody else
I
spread
agree with
out.
that. But
So
do you
so the
remember the question I asked you?
You're saying that do you think the immigrant situation could overpopulate and overpower the Black community?
And I gave you examples, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the question is, do you realize, and I agree with the other factors that you brought up, such as the low birth rate within our community and the abortion rate. You didn't even mention that.
Well,
I
that's
agree.
low birth
I
rate.
agree. I agree that
They
these are
just banned
also
abortion, so we can't talk about abortion no more because abortion's been banned for like how many years? Can't talk about that no more. Abortion's been banned for like what?
no. In certain states, you can still have an abortion.
Yeah, but it's not like Planned Parenthood on every block like it used to be. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, in
we
certain states it is though, but let's not have ADHD. And I'm not just saying you, even me too. The point is, we are being ethnically displaced. Now, I'll ask you: should we practice self-preservation
how?
due to mass immigration? You just named it.
Own doing. No, it's not by immigration. It is by our own will.
Well, DJ Genesis, can I ask you a question? Now, you just, I know you just got on Chat GPT. Are you able to ask Chat? No, I'm not insulting you for that, but I'm just saying because I know you got the ability to share your screen. Are you able to type in the Chat GPT? Is the total number of majority Black American cities, towns, and counties decreasing throughout the entirety of the U.S.? Are you able to type that in? Just so we don't got to speculate.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna just do this right here. Let's go.
Thank you.
All right. So what's the question? Are the total amount of Black Americans communities? What was the question again?
Is the total number of majority Black American cities, towns, counties, and congressional districts decreasing in the United States?
Are the total amount of Black American? Are the total amount of Black American owned cities, towns?
No. Is the total number of majority?
So if you're
Hold on. Is the total amount is the total amount of majority Black owned cities?
No, not owned. No,
Or Black
no, sis.
Townships.
No,
Majority
you're asking the
cities,
wrong question, sis.
townships.
So it sounds like you're asking about the total number of majority Black cities and townships in the U.S., or basically how many places are out there where the majority of the population is Black.
No, I'm asking, are they decreasing in size as immigration increases?
In number. Are they
number.
decreasing in number?
Are they decreasing in number? And is it because of immigration?
You asked it in an incoherent way, respectfully. You might want to ask it again.
Start to ask a question. You're like, you keep, okay. Are the total amount of Black cities, townships, and other Black
No, sis. And that's why you got. Can I talk to the Chat GPT? The question is the total number of majority Black American cities, towns, and counties decreasing in the United States?
All right. Is the total amount of Black cities, townships, etc., decreasing in the United States?
I mean, that
You
ain't
keep that the word majority. Majority is the word you keep missing.
Majority Black Americans, sis.
All right, hold on. It's not even responding at this point. Let me reload it. Are the majority Black American cities, townships decreasing in the United States based on immigration? Okay, I don't know what's going on.
Chat GPT got tired of you, man. Respectfully, but to the
You don't
listeners,
even have to put immigration on it because it's many factors like
Exactly.
systemic racism that
Exactly.
decreases it. So don't even put immigration on it.
30 black cities, townships decreasing in the United States. I'm gonna just type it in. Yes, majority black cities and townships in the United States have generally been decreasing in number and in the size of the black population in many cases, even though the overall black American population naturally has grown. The dynamics vary by location, but several important trends are happening right now. Declines. Black populations in several historically black, majority black, or high black population cities have been shrinking. Cities like Chicago, New York City, Washington, D.C., and others have seen black population losses over recent decades due to a combination of outmigration, gentrification, and suburbanization. For example, Chicago lost over 180,000 black residents over the past decade, and Washington, D.C.'s share of black residents dropped below 41% for the first time in decades. A broader phenomenon, also called black flight or migration to suburbs, is changing demographics. Since the 2000 census, the number of proportion of black residents has decreased in major cities such as New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Cleveland, and others. Even as the overall U.S. black population grows, many black families are moving to the suburbs for housing affordability, better schools, or economic opportunities, lowering the black share within traditional urban centers. Gentrification has transformed many formerly black neighborhoods. Research shows that hundreds of formerly majority black neighborhoods have changed racial makeup due to gentrification, eroding historically black population. So it sounds like the people are moving.
Exactly. And
No,
now,
no.
now
What
that
they
we have,
doing is, let me say this. What they doing is, if 30,000 Black Americans move to the suburbs, they gonna send 15,000 immigrants there to vote against you. If
exactly.
if 100,000 Black Americans move to the countryside, they gonna send 60,000 immigrants there to vote against you.
Yes. And DJ Genesis,
Or
one
people are
last question.
like, I lived in Detroit. Detroit is a majority black city. When it came down to it, wasn't immigration that made me move. It was like the shutdown of the auto industry,
No,
the economy being jacked up, me
no, I
having
hear you, DJ Genesis.
schools, like whether I want my children to go into live in a place that's filled with schools that are shutting down. So
No, we
people,
hear you.
they don't stay in areas, especially if they have killed kids. They move drugs, all type of different things that like that factors, not just
Now,
immigration.
DJ Genesis, and that's why I like that you got the chat GPT up because it's less wiggle room. Are you able to just type in one final question? Please ask chat GPT to name neighborhoods and cities that used to be majority Black American but are now majority immigrant / Hispanic / Asian.
Am I right?
But put / Hispanic / Asian because you know a lot of their children be born here, so they might not technically be registered as an immigrant. Thank you.
And they're only here to vote against you. That was their big.
So
That's
Compton,
their main purpose.
then over like 75% black, 1970s,
Mhm.
80s. Now 65 to 70%. So a 5% decrease. Latino, primarily Mexican, and Central American. Deindustrialization, housing pressure, Latino migration from LA core. Inglewood, black majority by 1970s, Latino plurally gentrifying white and Asian populations. Stadium development, rising property values, displacement. Wait, hold on. So why? These are the reasons why. Okay. East Palo Alto, majority black, 1960s through the 1980s, Latino majority, Mexico, Salvadorian. So why? Silicon Valley, tech boom, housing displacement. Richmond, strong black majority, World War II through 1980s. Now Latino and Asian plurality, post-industrial job loss, new immigration waves. Mount Vernon, majority black. Now Caribbean, African immigration, Jamaican, Ghanaian, Nigerian. Why? Immigration replacing displaced black Americans. When you say displaced, that means that these people left that area. But I'm just saying this. Okay, Harlem, then black global capital, rapidly increasing Latino, African, and white populations. Why? Gentrification plus immigration, still culturally black, but no longer majority black. Bedford Stuyvesant, largest black neighborhood in the U.S., Caribbean, African, Latino, white plus white gentrifiers. Rising rents, rezoning. So when they talk about this, they're not. It's other factors that like make things happen. They put things in their neighborhoods like stadiums and things like that. They up the price, but it's not based on all immigration. It's like
No, we never said all immigration, but that's the point. There's no plausible deniability now, DJ Genesis. You see that immigration is a factor in the eradication of Black American
You
community.
know what? You know what I see? I see also is that the problem that you guys have is not with your fellow people that not your fellow, but because y'all ain't African. But it's not the Africans that are taking over, it's the Mexicans and the Asians that are taking over.
Hold on, read Mount Vernon, just so we clear.
Say it again.
Scroll up to Mount Vernon.
Okay,
Look who it says.
that's one place, but everything else is
Hold
saying.
on. So DJ Genesis. So let's be logical.
So Pam Mulatto, everything I've read so far between California and everything is saying majority is Asian and Latino.
Well, DJ Genesis, you heard me say I'm against all immigrants. Allow me to complete the sentence. You heard me say I'm against all immigrants. I call ICE on all immigrants, regardless of where they are from. I just highlighted Mount Vernon as an example of where Africans and Caribbeans did indeed ethnically displace Black Americans. My question is, how many more of our communities should we forfeit to foreigners?
How much should we forfeit to foreigners?
Yeah, how many more of our communities should we forfeit to foreigners?
I think that people are moving out of those areas. They're not. It's not like that. They're moving out. They're moving down south.
But DJ Genesis, you didn't even answer the question, though, sis. Respectfully.
No, I am answering the question.
So how many more?
No, sir. You listen. Those Black Americans do not want to live in those areas. They're moving up.
I'm not even disputing that. I'm asking. I'm not
No,
disputing that.
People
I'm
do
asking.
not want to live in on top of each other in New York no more.
I'm not disputing that. I'm just asking. I'm just asking a simple question because you see, Chat GPT just told you the total number of majority Black American cities, towns, and counties is decreasing nationwide. So my question is, how many more of our communities should we forfeit to foreigners?
They're not forfeiting them to foreigners. They're moving out. Like, bro, people
Exactly, and they're moving to communities that are not majority Black American anymore.
No,
so I'm
they're
asking.
moving into. Listen, they're
Exactly.
moving. No, they're exactly no. People are leaving LA. Listen, people left in mass from LA to Texas. Why? Because LA was too freaking expensive, bro.
And you're proving my point. They went to a community.
What y'all leaving? Hold
on. DJ Genesis. It literally says due to immigration.
No, it was no. I'm trying to tell you. No, listen. People, they took their money and because it was cheaper to live in Texas and your money would go further.
And they moved to a community that was not majority Black American.
They moved into a housing. They moved to houses that were bigger and
exactly. And that community was not majority Black American.
Are majority Black. Listen. I drive around Texas all day long. Listen. These houses. Listen. Texas has the largest Black community in the country.
And the total number of majority Black American communities is decreasing. You just read it for yourself on the screen.
those
But
areas.
listen, you know why they're decreasing? You know why they're decreasing?
No, it's because property value, the value of properties went up for the dollar. Like, okay, if I have a house
And
and I
also the culture. You got to understand their culture. They are willing to live 10 to 12 people in a house.
Hold on, but brother, you letting that out of the off the hook. With all due respect, I'm just asking, how many more of our communities should we forfeit to foreigners? That's all I'm asking.
it's not about the what do you mean forfeit the foreigners?
Because that's who's taking over our communities. You see it on the screen.
People
You
are
just
moving
read it.
up and out. Then listen, people got tired of living in the projects and they moved into better places.
Hold on, have you been to Mount Vernon? It's not all projects. Have you been there? Have you been
Oh,
to South Central? It's not all projects.
okay, so you live in LA and you gotta pay
Exactly.
$1 million for a house that if you came with that same $1 million, you come
If 10 immigrants moved in their house, they can pay it. They can afford to pay it if it's 10.
No, sir, you're missing the point, sir. I don't
But
even
you're
know.
delusional, DJ Genesis, and this is sad.
Hold on. People are in LA, New York. These places are known to have extravagant levels of how much it costs to live there. People are moving down, they're migrating into areas where they can get more bang for their buck. That's what's happening. When COVID hit and everybody was remote, that gave opportunity for people to not be stuck in California working these jobs. They can work for Google from Texas. They don't have to be over there and working for these companies over here. They can like be over here, work remote, and still make the money, and then get a bigger house for much cheaper. That's exactly what happened. Trust me, there was an entire thing that it was a whole real estate boom in Texas that happened. Like when I even bought my house, where people were from California were coming into Texas, and it made the people were willing to pay like the down payment and like the amount for a house they were willing to pay was astronomical compared to what it used to be. So you have a $300,000 house. Niggas was like, no, I'll pay $400,000 for it because they used to paying a million in LA. So bottom
And
line,
DJ Genesis,
left those areas because the prices were going up.
I hear what you're saying, but it's a non sequitur. Are you aware that even in Texas?
Listen, let me just do this real quick because listen, I don't want to keep making. You know, the black cleaner did make a statement. He said, check out removal black erasure in Boston. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick because you know he did give a super chat. So
So you're just delusional. The total number of black communities in Texas is decreasing. Are you aware of this?
listen, I'm not aware of that, but I
So you have
definitely
no self-preservation instincts. That's the problem.
okay. Well,
How can black Americans compete with 10 illegal immigrants making $15 an hour
first of all,
living in
people
a
are
house?
moving from Texas because there was a huge flood in Houston. Why don't try to conflate, bro? There was a huge flood that displaced like millions of people in Houston. Stop it.
And the Mexicans still there, and they the majority.
Listen,
Boston,
if
Massachusetts,
it's 12 of them in a
home
house,
of
how can
winning
we
sports
compete?
teams, elite universities, and sometimes a lot of snow. But some might say that there are two Bostons. I came to Boston to attend Northeastern University for grad school, but there was something about Boston that was noticeable to me. It almost felt as though Boston had effectively hidden its Black population. So I had to ask myself, what happened to all the Black people? That is poor or working class. And oftentimes, Black communities are hit the hardest by gentrification. Now, gentrification is something that Boston City Councilor candidate Reggie Stewart knows all too well.
Over here, they're building a residential building, I think 34, 36 units, something like that. The only problem is if you look at the income levels in this neighborhood, particularly in regards to Black people, we're at about 30 to 40%.
And I can't just before I go into this, See, there's people here that were in Houston, South Houston, Harvey, right? So it's a thing where that flood, like you're saying, oh, people are leaving Texas. Don't you know people are leaving Texas? Yeah, they left. There was a huge like flood that happened that uh displaced a lot of people. Like, what are we talking about here? So you're not saying it's not because they left because it was the black community being taken over by the immigrants. Because I mean, Texas been like a combination of immigrants. I mean, Houston and stuff like that. No, it was because that storm hit and people were and look, we stayed in a hotel for months, but that's when the rent started to skyrocket because of demand. They did the same thing in Louisiana when Katrina hit. They create these storms and stuff and open up levees and all type of wild stuff to get people up out of there because that they want that land. And next thing you know, they want to get people up out of there, and boom, they have to like go and find somewhere else to go because land it was horrible. Thank you. And we did not even live in a flood zone, and they were getting so like. Please do not conflate what's going on here. Okay, so this guy that gave us the $5 super chat, shouts out to you. He wanted us to show a little bit about what's going on in Boston. So let's go. Let me speed this up a little bit because I don't want to okay, it's already speeded up. All right, let's go.
AMI at best for most of us. So what that means is that whatever is built here, the vast majority of people that live here or would seek to stay here or even return here after being pushed out, they're not going to be able to afford it, point blank. And when I see the bike racks here, the fact that those are here and that this hasn't gone through the entire process signals to me that the developers feel like this is a done deal. Black people specifically are being pushed out. There was a study that I came across that found of the top 10 cities that had more than 10 instances of gentrification within the urban centers. Boston came up in the 70s, because I believe it was third, then again in the 80s, and again in 2010. So you're seeing over decades that the intensity of gentrification, Boston is towards the top of that list. What that means is that Black people are literally removed. If you look at the census data from 2010 to 2020, Black people decreased in population size and share. The white population has increased, the Hispanic population has increased, the Asian population has increased. Black people are the ones that are being removed. They're ending up in places like Brockton and other areas outside of Boston because developers come here, raise the rents or raise the prices, which triggers the few homeowners in the area with higher property taxes, many of them elderly and on fixed incomes. So they have to sell because they can't afford that sharp increase in taxes. And so the developers build here and snatch up properties as people get sold, flip them into condos that we.
So this is not like the immigrants coming in and like saying, hey, let me buy up your property. These are white developers coming into these places and like regentrifying that neighborhood. And it's white people that are taking over those areas. And then you
look, what they're doing is they'll move one Black person out. He was paying $1,000 for rent, and they will move in 13 illegal immigrants who gonna pay $3,500 a month. So the Black person who working on his own to pay $1,000 a month for rent, they just move 10 immigrants in there to pay $3,500 a month, and that's how they're moving us out.
So is that our fault that we don't want to like live in a whole place together with a bunch of people with our whole family? Then we kick out our people, our teenagers.
13 people in a home. That's not our culture. They live like that. We don't. That's not our culture. We never live like that.
That all these areas got people just jammed in a place, or versus that there's white people that want that land because they realize the value of that land, and they say, okay, well, now that you guys have built it up and got it all going, okay, now we're gonna like take that same area. We're gonna re-put it. We're gonna put some $200,000 condos in there where you gotta buy it for $200,000 a piece, and then move white people into that same area and make it into.
They're not moving white people in. They're moving 10 immigrants in to one place at a time. No. That's what you're not getting. And white people, they're moving 20 people living in one house for $4,000.
But brother, allow me to say that
family used to live there for $800.
And DJ Genesis, do you realize that you're mammying for immigrants right now? He just told you the video that you played.
I'm not mammying for nobody.
You're
Okay.
mammying. Respect.
Listen, you're not. Listen. I'm not going to be called a mammy on my channel. If you can't control your rhetoric towards me and try to and first of all, you curse. Now you call me a mammy because I don't agree with what you're saying. Because I'm saying is that I don't believe that gentrification is only about immigration. It's also about white people and what they're trying to do, taking over. Because who's the one who's buying the properties? It is land, like invest, like what do they call it? Like these people that what is it called? Like they're damn developers. Okay, the developers come into that community. Okay, and then they.
But how are you not mammying?
No, listen.
How are you not mammying?
Listen, how I'm not mammying is that if a developer comes, because I lived in Washington D.C. I lived on U Street, Cordoza area, right? I lived on 40th and U Street. Now that area was a majority black hub of it was like Harlem Renaissance over there. People were doing poetry and all this other stuff. I leave for Detroit, come back. None of that exists anymore. Ben's Chili Bowl, and I think the U Street Theater is the only thing left about what I knew about U Street, Cordoza area. All right, and it wasn't fucking immigrants that took it over. Now I'm gonna say this: it was a bunch of Ethiopians that owned all that property on U Street in Washington D.C. It was Ethiopians that owned that, and also some black people that owned it from the '60s. So I'm talking about, and that's what I know about even coming from and seeing something get gentrified, is that it was not initially for immigrants, even though immigrants owned all that shit over there.
No, but I'm asking how you not mammying, respectfully.
Because you're an asshole, and if I'm mammying, you are bucking, whatever it is. I mean,
Can I say something? Don't
You can't
call her
even get your
mammy.
lie
Don't
together.
call her mammy, dude. Don't call her mammy.
Like
Don't
she's
do that.
mammying, respectfully.
Don't do that.
The
Don't do
video
that,
just
dude.
showed she played her own.
If you can't control like your rhetoric and saying these type of things, you'll be kicked off.
I'm
Don't
just going
call
on the
her
video
mammy.
that you showed.
Don't do
The
that.
video.
You really are
Respectfully.
hurting the quality of the show, dude. You very smart. Don't hurt the quality of the show.
And stuff like that, and you already been cussed it several times, and I still kept you up here. If you want to use those type of words because you can't control yourself and have a reasonable conversation, you just won't be up here, sir. But I've been reasonable with you. I haven't even muted you this whole time. I tried to give you some space, but you want to just be on this bullshit, bro.
The video that you just showed said that as the black American population decreased, the Hispanic and Latino population increased, meaning that immigration is a factor in the eradication of black American communities. So my question is, why are you mammying for immigrants?
Don't
Respectfully.
mammy, dude. Don't do that. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on. Cut it.
All right, so that's the end of his whatever the hell he had to say. If you can't control yourself and you don't even want to have a reasonable conversation, you'll just be kicked. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't understand. You have to say that word so bad that you feel like you're justified. I think he likes getting kicked off. It might make his little balls tingle.
What I would like to say is that the increase in immigrants do push us out because they are willing to do things we are not because of our culture. So they are willing to pay $4,000 a month for a house that we were paying $1,000 for because they are willing to live so many people in a home. That's the thing that's kicking us in the back, is we're not willing to live 12 people in a house so they can come in and take over the whole street. If they're willing to live 10 people in a home and pay rent for $4,000, that's going to always get us kicked out. So we got to fight against immigration, and just in order to keep our state, because they're going to raise property taxes. They're going to raise rent. The more immigrants come in because of their culture. Their culture allowed them to live 20 people in one home. Our culture don't allow us to do nothing like that.
I personally, I don't, when I'm in Texas, I don't really see how it is in Boston or where this young man gave me that link from about that. I don't know how big those houses are there where they're living 20 or 30 to a thing. Based on what he said, is that yes, it was whites, Latinos, and Asian. Now, what do Asians majority do when it comes to work? They either own their own restaurant or they work at like they are doctors and they are in the tech field. So of course they're going to raise the property value and everything like that. Now you're saying that the Mexicans come in and they live 15 to a home. Well, like so, and then you have the black people moving out because of the fact that they can't afford to like live there anymore. And I agree with that. That's not mean I'm not mammying for them. I'm saying that the people that do this that are developing this area, they're not saying, well, we know that there's going to be X amount of Indians, X amount of whites, X amount of Latinos. I believe that they're doing this for the white community, and then it just
Let
happens
me
that these other cultures are having the money to be able to come
let me
into.
put you on game on something else they're doing. This is the game. I'm gonna tell you this is the immigrant game right here. I'm gonna give it to you right here. What they do is it be one rich Mexican, one rich Nigerian, one rich Ghanaian. What they'll do is they get all the permits they need, and they'll own all the food trucks. They'll own all the gas stations. They'll own all whatever industry it is, and they'll rent it out only to their people. They will only rent out their food truck.
But
They will
just
only rent out their gas station to their people. They will only rent out their food truck to their people, and they'll take up all the slots. It won't be no slots left for nobody else. And that's how they get it. It be one of them that get the permits for all of them and rent it out only to their people.
I'm going to share this with you guys. Okay. So I said, is gentrification, let me just share this with you guys. I just had to go. Let me just go to ChatGPT because he said, you know what, you be ChatGPT, so let me just ChatGPT. All right, is gentrification for immigrants or the white community? Please be honest. He said, I'll be very direct. Now, this is the thing. Now, this is going. This the AI goes into the whole internet and finds data. Right. Short, honest answer. Gentrification is structurally for the white professional / investor class, not for immigrants, even though immigrants are often used as an intermediate replacement population. That distinction matters. The real gentrification pipeline, how it actually works. Stage one, disinvestment, redlining, underfunded schools, infrastructure neglect happens primarily to Black American neighborhoods. Property values are officially depressed, okay? Stage two, immigrant influx, buffer phase. Latino, African Caribbean, Asian immigrants move in. Why then? We'll accept lower wages, we'll accept crowded housing, less political leverage locally, often barred from mortgages, renters not owners. This phase is often mislabeled as diversity. Stage three, capital entry. Developers, banks, REIT, city planners step in. Zoning changes, transit upgrades, stadiums, Whole Foods, bike lanes, luxury apartments. Stage four, white professional takeover. White dual income, college educated professionals move in. Property values spike, taxes raised. Both Black Americans and immigrants get displaced. That's what I'm trying to explain, is that this gentrification thing, all right, if you see a bunch of immigrants in a Black neighborhood, that is just a phase, a portion of it. The whole objective is for
It's a soft takeover because they can't take it from Black Americans.
for the immigrants
They can't take it from Black Americans, but they can take it from immigrants easily.
Right.
So
So that's what I'm trying to make. I'm trying to like the point I'm trying to make is that this guy is only focused on the whole illegal immigrant aspect of it, but the whole thing is it's an overplay for the underplay. This it's a smoke screen. Oh, okay. You're gonna this is all these immigrants are taking over. But no, the whole objective is like to make you think it's about that, but the whole thing is they just raise the thing. They kick them all out, and then they just raise
So
everything up.
basically, you can't take the candy from the Black American, so you get a candy to the immigrant, so you can take it from him easily. That's
Yeah,
basically.
that's what I'm trying to say this whole time. Y'all think it's about the immigrant, but it's not. He says I'm being a mammy. It's like, no, I'm being real about what you don't even know that what the real fucking story, what's really happening here.
They just giving everything to the
Everybody
immigrant. They giving everything. Basically, they giving everything to the immigrants so they can take it back easily because they can't take nothing back from the Black American easily, and they want an easy fight. W.
If I own my house for like 30 years, it's been in my family and it's been passed down. And then all of a sudden I have a developer come in and say, well, we're trying to regentrify this area. We're going to give you $1 million to move out this house. So what they do is they give them $1 million for that little house that probably they bought, they never even owned because their grandma bought it for $30,000 back in like the 1930s or whatever. And they had their 50s, they had the house in their family. They're able to buy it from the family because they be like, well, I don't need this house, but it's a headache anyway.
No, because they can still get it with property taxes.
Or whatever. Maybe that's what it is.
That's what I'm saying. So it ain't about you selling to somebody who want to buy it. Even if you want to keep it, they can just price you out with property taxes to where you can pay less for an apartment than you would in property taxes. So your house, you staying in your own house, costs more than you renting a house because they raise property taxes on you.
Or because someone offers you a offer you can't refuse, bro. If you get offered,
if they raise property taxes on you 200%, you might well rent an apartment.
or they say, hey, I'll give you a like 500,000 for this house that you know that you didn't even have to buy because Big Mama Ben died.
But what if you a rebel? What if you Black Power and you want to keep your house in your community where you was raised and born? If property taxes kill all rebelism.
No, let me tell you what even happens in Detroit. In Detroit, I can tell you a family that when the guy that owned Comerica Park, the same guy that owned Little Caesar, they had a house in the area of that Comerica Park that they wanted to build on. The family did not want to let that house go. And let me tell you something. They offed everybody down the line until someone finally sold it to them. They killed them. Really. So I'm gonna just let y'all know is that if you don't sell, it's not just a matter of like they're gonna up your property taxes. Some of them get real dirty and very mafia like with certain cities like Detroit. So I'm telling you is that it's way deeper. When these people want to come in and build something, they are not going to be fair. It's like, look, if you take this money or we're going to take your life. That's how it gets.
No, because if they raise property taxes, they ain't got to take your life because they can charge you more for your home and property taxes than you would spend in an apartment. They can easily raise property taxes on you.
Sir,
it's over with. It's over with.
No, sir, I'm trying to tell you. Listen, how old are you, sir? I'm almost 50 years old. I lived in Detroit for like almost like 15 years in Detroit, and I got to see and I got to hear all the information that happened to me when they were building Comerica Park. And I'm gonna tell you what, that's with certain cities are ran, and they have certain people that when they have power, money, and influence, if you don't move about that area, it's not just about property taxes. They will make sure
this is what I'm saying. If you a doctor, right? If you a doctor, if you a doctor and you bought a $12 million, hello. If you a doctor and you bought a $12 million home,
Washington, is there anybody from Detroit that's in the chat that knows about what happened in to Comerica Park, that whole area, and how these people got like off and
let me give you a scenario. If you a doctor and you bought a $12 million home, none of your children became doctors. That $12 million home, the property taxes every year is gonna raise. Your children are not gonna be able to keep up with that property tax because they don't make the money you made. So property taxes is gonna take that home from your family. The same thing in the ghetto. Property tax is going to take those homes from black families in the ghetto.
Detroit, sir. I'm talking about downtown Detroit, Comerica Park area.
All of it is going to get taken by property taxes.
Property, I'm trying to tell you is that it don't just only be property tax. These people get dirty. Now you want to only think it's only property tax, but when they really want your area, is listen. Okay.
But even if what I'm saying, even if we did choose not to sell, they still can come. They still can take it through property tax.
Wait, hold on, Todd. I'm not sure how old you are, but were you aware of like what happened in Comerica Park when the Illages, where there was the people that owned it was a really well-known poetry spot, and they owned that spot, and I swear to goodness, they that whole family, I mean, they went down the line. This person said they wasn't going to sell. The next person said they wasn't going to sell. Finally, that last person, they said, I'll just sell it, because they actually people were getting somehow ended up off. You know what I'm saying? Detroit
they can listen, if they any given day they can raise, they just did it in Chicago. They just raised property tax 100%. They just raised property tax 100% in Chicago. They can do it by 200 and 300% on any given day.
I'm going to say this. Listen, I am not trying to say that what you're saying does not exist. I'm trying to also bring up something that's even more diabolical that happens where you have these developers, because the bottom line is that when a developer comes in, they don't just raise the property tax. They have to go, listen, what does it take to raise you have to go through the government to raise the property tax. When people buy property and buy this thing, yeah, they will say, hey, they go to the government and say, I want to develop this area and stuff like that. And they'll raise the property tax. But hey, say if you can afford the property tax, right? And you doing good, whatever, and that you were able to stay. What will happen is the next step will be a threat. You know what I'm saying? Now you have a threat going on.
What if your children can't afford the property tax? But you can. But you're not going to be here.
You know what? We thought, listen, y'all are both right. So you're saying it's property tax. I'm saying that these developers get down and dirty, and it's not just only property tax.
It's a lot of different things, but the end all be all, if they wanted you out, all they got to do is raise the property taxes.
No, it's not just property. Listen, they have to go through the government to raise property taxes. Listen, once they listen,
who has the government been against for the last 400 years?
Listen, that takes too long, bro. When you're trying to build something and somebody's in the way, that takes too long to only just raise the property tax. If the family is able to and sticking through and saying no, we're not selling, then property tax ain't gonna do nothing. You think that all black people are just broke? Man, listen, I've lived in Texas and drove around, and we are really delusional to think that these black people don't have money. Because I've driven around Texas. Everybody's in a house that's worth at least $300,000 or $400,000 or more. I don't know what's going on in y'all cities up there, but honey, down here, people got some bread. I don't know what's going on up there. But I know also, even in Detroit, people got bread. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen, you know what I'm saying, people living in houses, they making bread, and especially if they ain't have to, you know what I'm saying, they get a house for a little cheap, fix it up, whatever, ain't got to pay. I mean, think about Detroit, where you was able to get a house for like $1,500 at one point, and it'd be a really nice, huge house.
Imagine a time to where they can't make bread. Then what?
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. Black
like
people,
a time like the Great Depression in America.
Listen, I think there's a misconception of you thinking that black
What about like a Great Depression?
Honey, we're not in the Great Depression. We're in the 2025, 26.
I'm talking about future terms. Like,
no,
what if
in this very moment? We're not talking about like some hypothetical situation. We're talking about what's happening right now. These people
right now they're taking our homes.
First of all, property itself is an asset. What are you talking about? Even if the person sells that property, gets the money out of it because grandma paid it off, they walk away with bread in their hands, and they just take that bread, divide it amongst the family, and then they go on and buy some other property, whatever. Go downtown.
No, that's not
Go to
cool.
the not downtown. Go to the suburbs and buy a whole house for pennies on the lot cheaper. A bigger house, not downtown where they want to damn near kill somebody just to like be able to own that property.
Like say, let me give you a personal example. Like my family house raised 2 times in value in the last 5 years. Like imagine if that's the trajectory to where the house gonna double in value every 5 years. How the hell you supposed to keep up with that in property taxes?
How hard it is to like actually like foreclose. Like, do you know how hard it is? Like, I mean, property taxes are really not. I mean, I don't know. Compared to a mortgage, if you own the house outright, like, what are we talking about? Why are we only talking? Why are we making like property taxes? Are you serious?
They're talking about boycotting in Chicago right now because of property taxes on the
That's
black community. The
that's
black community got taxed 100%.
that have mortgages. Okay, if you have a mortgage, I'm talking about like people that were in Boston. These people probably own those properties outright because they are passed down generations.
Let's talk about the black people in Chicago who just got their bill for 100% increase. Imagine if that happened 5 years, and 5 years, 100%, 100%, 100% in 15 years. That's crazy.
No developer's gonna wait 15 years for that to happen for them to be able to develop on your thing.
The government will. That's who did it. The government raised the.
Listen, stop. No developer is going to wait for the government to kick in with the taxes. They're going to offer you money, or they're going to get dirty with it. I don't understand what. Listen, you need to watch all these. And it's several movies about this stuff that tell you about that. Even hell, Disney got the thing up. People they'll build around you, and eventually, if you don't sell, they're going to make it very inconvenient for you to own that property. Like what? Like, I'm a property owner. Do you own a property? Do you understand how hard it is to get a person out of their property? It's not easily. It's not easy. I mean, I own a house. Do you know how hard? Like, listen, I could like not pay my mortgage for a year and still keep this house. Property tax going up or not. Even if someone do a tax on it and my taxes aren't paid, I can make a deal with the person that buy that when they auction off the lien of the taxes. I can say, well, I'll pay you a certain amount and keep the house. Like, it's not like a matter of, oh, you didn't pay your tax. No, they have to put it up for auction. There's a whole thing. It's very hard to get someone to get out. That's the reason why I made sure I owned a house versus renting, because I knew, hell, I've been homeless before. I don't want to ever be in a situation where I get kicked out 6 months after or whatever. I knew straight up, if I ever come into hard times, I own where I live at, it's going to be way harder for you to kick me about this bitch.
Well, it's sometimes it could be better to rent depending on your lifestyle, but that's neither here nor there. But owning a home, you're going to have to pay those property taxes, and they can raise it. The government, not even developers, the government raise your property taxes to whatever they want it to be. So if they want
Bridges, hold on. Todd Bridges says, over on the east side, there was a formerly 7 days location. The houses in that area were all given eminent domain and offered a small stipend for them to move off their land. And that had nothing to do with damn property tax. This is what the government say, hey, you know what? We're trying to do something over here, and goodbye. They got nothing to do with property taxes. They could do whatever the hell they want. You think you own something, and guess what? You don't own shit. We want to build a highway over here.
But what if, like, if you own a place in some good real estate that you can see, good future in, say if your property taxes is $1,200 today, tomorrow it could be $3,000, and then 10 years from now it can be $6,000, and 20 years from now it can be $12,000.
You're missing the point, sir. You're missing the point. If the government want your property, they don't have to wait 3 and 6 years to like raise the property taxes. They can find they will use crazy ways to get your property, like eminent domain, like what the brother said right here.
No, 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 no. America played a long game. Oh no, America played a long game.
No, they don't.
America played a 60-year game.
No, they
America don't play no 3-4 year game. We have America ever.
You need to do some research in the history, sir. When they wanted to like build the LBJ, whatever freeway in through, what was that freeway in down in Detroit where they like just shoved a freeway in the middle of people where they lived at and just decided this has happened in several black communities where they decided that they were going to create like a freeway through the area. They had eminent domain. The developers decided, you know what, get the fuck up out because we're building this freeway, and that was it. There's no property tax. There's no three-year wait. It's like
Listen, they built the freeway because they seen what it would be 100 years from then. Like they say, if they did not build this freeway 100 years from now, this place is going to be Hollywood. So America played a long game. America do not play the short 3-4 year game. What they doing today is not to affect tomorrow. It's to affect 60 years from now. And that's what Black Americans know about W supremacy.
Listen. Okay, so Todd Bridges says the Black Bottom was hit by eminent domain in the 80s. There is a freeway that goes through the heart of that former Black stronghold. If they don't do that, they'll flood the town. If they can find a way to flood it and kill off people and get their property, they'll do that too. I'm trying to tell you, listen, property tax is some bullshit. They listen, when it comes to niggas, they will flood you out. They will eminent domain you. They will. It gets real grimy with property.
But listen, they destroyed Black Wall Street because of what it would have been today. They didn't destroy it because of what it was. They destroyed it because of what it would be today.
Yeah. So I like, okay. All right. I'm not okay. So we're gonna like change the subject here because I've said what I could say on this, but I knew I was gonna get into Jasmine Crockett real quick, so I wanted to at least get into that subject before I sign off because I'm gonna come back on and I'm going to review a video with on HOK that came up that I found to be very crazy, and I was like, what? And so if you guys get a chance, please come back after we discuss this, and we're gonna go into this whole Jasmine Crockett situation with Stephen A. Smith. Let's go.
Miss an opportunity to bash Black people or Blacks, or at least miss an opportunity to bash Black people or Black women in general. Let's go ahead and watch this little clip of him talking about Jasmine Crockett and Joy Reid. And also, I want to add, Joy Reid is planning on responding back to him. Let's go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get to it, y'all. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take a listen.
I don't know if you would categorize this as a third rail or a pitfall, as you describe, but in your book, you talk about how when you were first starting with, quite frankly, you were concerned that the Black community might see you as a sellout, as an Uncle Tom. And as you know, some of those criticisms have come about lately. And I want to just play a quick clip to get your reaction.
Sure.
To use your platform in order to not only come for me, but consistently kind of have a track record of coming for Black women, I was just very disappointed in him.
They're paying you not for your numbers, my friend. They're paying you because you are willing to say the nasty things about Black people that they want to say.
Your reaction?
They should be ashamed of themselves. Where's your evidence?
Well, well, Crockett, you have apologized.
Well, let me tell you what I apologized for. Trump followed up what I said by calling her low IQ and stuff like that.
Hold on, let me catch him in something, because he had been talking about Jasmine Crockett beforehand, and we all know Trump has slandered her since she got into office. So what are you talking about? Like, oh, all of a sudden after he said something, that's when you decided to apologize? No, he's been talking about her. And the thing is, Jasmine Crockett even played all the insults he was saying about her during her whole time in office, or in Congress, I should say. He's a liar.
Which I found appalling. She's a highly educated woman. She's licensed to practice law in the state of Texas, Arkansas, and federally. She's a United States representative. She's an influential, intelligent, decent, good Black woman who cares a lot about Black people in this country. So I apologize for assisting in any way this notion that it's okay to say that about her, because I didn't want any parts of that. But I did feel that the situation was overblown. I was simply saying, is cursing the president out and calling him a piece of on national television or in front of a national audience going to help your constituency? I wanted to know the answer to that question.
You know, it's not just Joy Reid and...
Well, let me say something about Joy Reid. Let's get this out of the way. I don't know this woman. I've met her one time. I shook her hand once. I've never spoken to her in my life. And she's responding that way because when she got fired by MSNBC, her show got canceled. I spoke on it. And what I said was, she is a talent, highly intelligent woman. I respect her. The issue, however, is that if your numbers drop 47% and you are Black, in this culture that we're living in, did you really expect something else to happen? Of course they were going to do that to you. I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, I get what you're saying and you might be right, but the manner in which you're going about it, that ain't gonna serve you well long-term.
But why is it that many Black women have had this criticism on Stephen A. Smith?
Who are the many? Because I think there are a few.
He said, who are the many? I think we can go Carrie Champion, Jamel Hill. Like, you know, here's the thing. Yeah, does every Black woman hate him? Well, you know, I don't even want to say like it's just Black women. It's Black people in general have criticism for him. And this is not just about his politics. This is him in the arena of sports, which he's supposed to be excellent at, you know, talking about sports, which that's debatable, because what he's known for, just like in politics, is bashing Black people. The way that he talks about Black athletes is not the same like he talks about white athletes. Everything that a Black athlete do is inexcusable and he goes in. A white one is kind of like, oh, well, you know, they did this and hopefully they learn from it. Just the same way that Jasmine Crockett isn't the only one that says F Trump or it criticizes Trump. They all do. Frankly, they all criticize him, except John Fetterman, but we know he's weak. He got a weak heart and he weak. I went there. I don't care. I don't care. You didn't care that he was chasing a Black man with a gun, so I don't care nothing about his weak heart. So anyway, I'm just telling the truth. He chased a Black man with a gun and he got elected into, you know, a senator of Pennsylvania. That's crazy to me, but I digress. Anyway, you know, everybody criticizes Trump, but you come at Jasmine Crockett because, oh, she's the most vocal or she speaks her mind. Isn't that what we've been complaining with on the Democratic side? We need strong Democrats who want to fight for us. And you're saying, oh, well, you're doing too much. Like, no.
Here's my question to my audience. Why is it when a woman, especially a Black woman, is outspoken, she got to be angry, she talked too much, she this, she that? And I've even heard people even in this chat, you know what I'm saying, you talking too much, you do. Why is it that, you know, when Black women are vocal, we talking too much, we saying too much, we doing too much? What is going on?
Rest of them are not doing enough. And so when Jasmine Crockett speaks her mind, and we know whenever it's a Black person, especially a Black woman, if they speak their mind, they looked at it as, oh, they're problematic or they loudmouth or this or that. It's never spun in a positive way, ever. And Stephen A. Smith is feeding into that stereotype about talking about this Black woman and basically making it seem like she's unruly or, you know, oh, well, she's so focused on Trump and not on the people and all that. Get all of that out of it. You're weak for, and it's not even that he's weak, it's that he does this on purpose. If you look at the people who go on the show, it's mostly right-wingers. It's people like he loves Megyn Kelly. Out of all the people, you love blackface Megyn Kelly. You know, when she said blackface is okay, she also pushes the whole browning of America and the white replacement theory. Like, you love this woman. And the reason why they love you is because you push a narrative and a lot of propaganda on your channel. This is why they love you. If you were coming at them, they wouldn't love you. I guarantee that, right? But you'll kiss their ass, but you still can't get to why people don't like you. And it's not just Black women who called him out. Van Latham has called him out. Don Lemon has called him out.
I don't understand why people are so butthurt about Black women having a voice. Right. Pushing the Fund Me account for the ICE agent who killed Renee Good. Like, so it's like, I don't know, that people have an issue with Black, well, even women that have a voice. If they're LGBT or whatever, it's like, oh, okay, that woman need to be put in her place. Oh, okay, she's a terrorist. I've had people actually say that this woman was a domestic terrorist.
So many people have called out Stephen A. Smith, Terrell Owens, you know, All the Smoke podcasts. Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes have called him out too as well. So what are you talking about? It's not just, oh, these particular small group of, no, you know who gives you your bread and butter. And at the end of the day, they can put you out there to say the negative stuff about, again, they're always going to find somebody Black to push a certain narrative about Democrats and about Black people. And you are the face of that because they're under the perception that Black people like you. And we don't. You know what Stephen A. Smith reminds me of? He reminds me of, and here's the thing, because Stephen A. Smith is just like this manager that I had at this one job, right? Who think they're helping you because, you know, oh, you Black, so I'm gonna help you out so you don't do the wrong thing. And I get that, you know, I've done it too before, but there's a way that you go about it. So this particular manager, she was Black, and she would basically give us, the Black people, hell. She would. And like it got to the point where I told my direct supervisor, like, hey, she needs to stop this. I get it that, you know, she feels like she's Black and so we're family and she can talk to me any kind of way. No, you can't. I told my supervisor, my direct supervisor, I have a fucking mom and a dad. I don't need you to be either one of those. And I said it just like that. And my supervisor was like, oh, okay, I'll let her know. Yeah. Because you're not going to down talk me and think that you quote unquote helping me. I don't need no men. Mind you, I'm grown. I don't need a mentor from. No, get out of here with all that. You know? And so Stephen A. Smith, he feels like he can just say whatever and he's trying to help, but you're not helping with anything. If anything, you're causing more chaos. Now, I want to go ahead and play this response from Joy Reid real quick before we get out of here. And like I said, Joy Reid said that she's going to do a full response on her channel, but I just love how Joy Reid, you know, she didn't say much, right? But it was just the fact that how funny she was being reacting to this.
And can we make it normalized that we stop, like, just demonizing how outspoken that our Black women are? Like, can we just begin to actually appreciate the fact that we have a people that, you know, we're not the ones that's going to back down on stuff, you know? So what? Like Jasmine Crockett, why is it on black men that's over here just booty clapping for whoever trying to get some money or whatever, bro? You not they will drop you in a heartbeat. Stop it. Listen. Black men need to support black women.
Clip. So here we go, you guys.
Was overblown. I was simply saying, is cursing the president out and calling him a piece of on national television or in front of a national audience going to help your constituency? I wanted to know the answer to that question.
You know, it's not just Joy Reid and.
Well, let me say something about Joy Reid. Let's get this out of the way. I don't know this woman. I've met her one time. I shook her hand once. I've never spoken to her in my life. And she's responding that way because when she got fired by MSNBC, her show got canceled. I spoke on it. And what I said was, she is a talent, highly intelligent woman. I respect her.
They're always educated, highly intelligent, but he still fixes his mouth to degrade them. Interesting, right?
Issue, however,
and let me say this. Yes, we all need to support each other, human to human. But there is an issue where black men do not like the fact that the black woman is so outspoken. Honey, there's so many red pill panels. Just every time a black woman, oh, you manly, you being too mannish, you being too masculine, right? And so you got these people that are in media and politics, and the first person that's gonna speak, like, sir, go and report about like some damn sports, bro. What are you talking about?
If your numbers drop 47% and you are black in this culture that we're living in, did you really expect something else to happen? Of course they were going to do that to you. I'm looking at it, I'm saying, okay.
So I have thoughts, as you might imagine, and I'll share them. Monday on the Joy Reid Show, 6 to 8 p.m. ET.
Ooh, it's almost time. So we'll be definitely watching. But I want to say this. So the whole 47%, that was MSNBC overall. That wasn't just Joy Reid Show. So after the election, we was all done with politics. We was like, F this. We done with this shit, right? So nobody was watching it because we all felt hoodwinked and played when Trump got elected again, right? So everyone numbers crashed. And Joy Reid, who's a part of MSNBC, or her show was on there, you know, her numbers went down too. Now, at February of last year, the numbers went back up. But they still decided to go ahead and let Joy Reid go, even though she wasn't the lowest on the list. I think she was like number, like at least, she was either number like 6 or 7 as far as the ratings. But the people that they kept had lower numbers than her. So it wasn't about numbers at all. More than likely, it was about her stance on Gaza and Israel. That's probably what led to her. And then also her being more vocal about the president because, you know, he's trying to silence everybody. That probably played a part into it. So I just wanted to clear up that whole rumor about her numbers and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure she'll talk about it as well, too, on her show. But again, you guys, I love y'all for watching. Let me know what you think about Stephen A. Smith. Do you think at this...
Let me tell you, what I think is that Stephen A. Smith needs to stick to sports and be quiet. I think he needs to be quiet. Just stick to sports, bro. And you know what? And that is the show for today. I am going to be coming back in about like maybe 5 minutes with the review of the HOK's discussion with a young lady, Dr. Moten, where she discusses about that's the woman's fault, y'all. She's going to be talking about how it's the woman's fault that all this stuff and whatever. And I am going to, I hope that I'm going to have Nepal up here. It might be a shared stream, but just give me a second. Shouts out to everybody who has stuck with me for this time. Much love, guys, and peace.
Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. talking way out. Way out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. See if you believe in the God in you.